Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Wednesday, October 12th, 2026. Crazy stormy night. I want to do a voiceover. I got a couple of things for my last video. This video is not going up until Friday. This video going up tonight. So a lot of stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of development with this story over the next couple of days. But let's start here with Trump, and then I'll get into the voiceover.
Mr. President, can you tell us about your ride on the airport catering truck in Turkey? Why did you need to do that?
Well, it's only up to Secret Service. I just follow what they'd like to do. So
I just showed you the video where he was telling them to stop and get his shoes, and he was letting his head pop out during that whole thing, right? That whole debacle that happened with that fake assassination attempt. Well, we'll show that again. We'll go back to that. So, but he doesn't follow what Secret Service wants him to do.
Go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
Well, do they say for you to get on your knees and lick at Benjamin Netanyahu's taint? If they told you that, would you do it? Well, you do that on your own anyway. They don't have to tell you.
Why did they want you to do that?
I guess there was a threat out there. I didn't really ask them much about it. I get a lot of threats.
Okay. So let's I want to come back with a voiceover where I can talk about this more. Let's go to let's go back to a time where he didn't do what Secret Service told him to say. You know, I watched this video clip so many times, right? And you know, the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so fucking fake. Like, my wife and I had heard about it, went for a walk, and we were talking about like something about it. Like, didn't seem like a big deal, you know. And I mean, whatever. We came in, and she's like, well, I guess he was bleeding. And I'm like, what? Let's go watch, you know. So we turned on the TV, and I'm watching. I go, oh my God, it's some WWE. My wife was a little bit not there yet, but I'm like, oh, this is weird. Like, fucking, this is so badly done. It's so poorly done. You know, like, it's just, you know, to execute something like this, I mean, it's, you know, a ruse, you know, something that's fake right in front of all these people and then a live event, and Trump not being a good actor. You know, it's one thing to have, you know, the cameras and the sound stage and the special effects and, you know, when you're making a movie. It's another thing to try to pull something that's like this is an illusion. This is like a magic trick. And Trump is no fucking magician. And so, you know, all the things came out. He said they looked at his hand. He said he looked at his hand. It was all bloody. Like, that was part of the thing. But there's no blood. Why did they? And this guy, like, total actor right here. Trump always talks about this guy. Okay, so, you know, we found out later about all the bullshit that was involved in this. That people saw the guy get up on the roof. That there was counter snipers who were sitting there watching the guy for 8 minutes. They had a perfect shot at the guy. They saw he had a weapon, and they just didn't do shit until he started firing. You know, there's no communication between any of the agencies. It was a catastrophic failure. The guy was walking around. He got through security with a rangefinder, holding a rangefinder, so he could figure out the distance between him and Trump. And then he was on the roof figuring out the distance, right? And at the angle that the kid was at, there was a billboard that was blocking his shot, and he needed a perfect perpendicular angle to hit Trump's ear without hitting either side of his head. Like, I covered this extensively. But, you know, the thing was fake as fuck. But here's the part where he says he does what Secret Service tells him what to do. Okay, so I know nothing about Secret Service, very little about law enforcement. Almost everything I know is for watching TV and movies, right? Like, I'm no expert in any of these things. I don't give a shit about it. I don't value it, you know, these things. I mean, you know, for the most part. You know, the stuff that's good and true, yeah, that's great. but I don't value the bullshit stuff. But anyways, why is he being? Why is they getting him up? Right? Why do they have to get him up at all? Right? Why do they have to get him out of there? Because there's a crowd full of people, and he's just been shot at, according to the official story. And so why isn't there a second shooter? Like, you never know if there's a second shooter. And so why get him up? Like, all right, he's bleeding maybe, or let's say let's get him to the hospital because he's bleeding. But he's not, it's just in his ear. And when he got up, he'd probably say, hey, look, I got shot at my, of course, if this was real, it's not. But there's no reason to get him up because there's a crowd full of people in front of him and behind him. And, you're putting him at risk the entire time. You could get everybody out of there. And why aren't they running the people? Look at how they ran at Charlie Kirk's, right? So, like, did they even hear shots? Was that, I mean, why are they not running? Why are those people not running when, like most people did? Like Charlie Kirk people, everybody fucking ran, right? It's easy to clear the fucking place out because everybody run. Why are those people still there? Are they, I mean, it makes no sense at all. And he talked about how they didn't run.
Get ready.
We ready?
Why aren't any of these people running? Nobody fucking ran, and Trump talked about how nobody ran.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
The shooter's down. Was there a second shooter? I don't know. Fuck, who knows? Let's let this guy pop his head up and say fight, fight, fight a bunch of times, and see if there's a second shooter. And if they shoot at him, we'll let's use him as bait, and then we can take out the second shooter.
Let me get my shoes.
Let me get my shoes. If a bullet just hit you in the ear, you would probably be in a state of shock after these guys all piled on top of you. Like you go to a different place when death becomes, well, I almost just died, right? And so let me get my shoes, you guys. It's expensive shoes. Fucking, I'm a cheap fuck, and these are expensive shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold on.
See, like, he's not listening to what the Secret Service says. Now, his head's available right here to, I don't know, probably a couple hundred people that are in the audience that would have a direct shot at his head. If somebody was sitting there, if there was another shooter or somebody behind him. Like this guy, they're filming this. These two guys are filming, right? Like, these guys are filming. There's just been bullets fired and no one ran and they're filming. I mean, look at the difference of what happened with Charlie Kirk when everyone starts running out. Like, that's what usually happens. When bullets are fucking flying, people start running, and it only takes a few people to run, then everybody runs. I mean, you see this happens at concerts and things, I mean, the crowd fucking panics. But Trump talked about how they were all risking their lives for him because they were an amazing crowd. Like that, they didn't. None of them probably knew what happened because there was no shots fired. I mean, I don't know where they got the audio from, but if you heard shots fired, people usually would fucking run. And they're just sitting there filming.
So we gotta move to the bus.
Let me get my shoes.
Okay, my shoes down. My shoes.
Watch out.
Wait.
Yeah, so, and, we know he isn't this guy. Like, which I'll get into in a bit. I'll talk about my voiceover. But him doing the fight thing, again, he's not listening to Secret Service. Like, they would just be, like, grabbing him and pushing him and dragging him off the stage. There'd be none of this shit, right? They don't, like, give a shit what you want to do. Like, they have a job to do, and their job is to move you the fuck off there without your head being exposed. They're not letting you take fucking posture in and doing superhero shit. Then again, like, how many times are they gonna let this guy's head out? They have no. They're not gonna let how many times are they gonna let the guy get exposed to a second shooter? And all these guys said, why are it's just so fucking fake, right? And I couldn't believe how fake this was. When I saw it, then I couldn't believe that there was no other truthers calling it bullshit on it. It took like fucking a year before these motherfuckers, oh yeah, I guess we were wrong about that. Like, Jesus Christ. The fakest thing ever. But look at letting him stand up there. Then they finally push him in the car. Like him saying, "I just do what the Secret Service says it's not true, right? It's not true because none of that shit. Like those were actors or whatever the fuck it was, but none of that shit was about They have to ask the president. The president doesn't There's optics involved. So let's go to the voiceover. Okay, so to start with, Trump saying that he only does what the Secret Service, like that was his excuse. This was bad optics. Now, first of all, the way that this thing had to work out with him, doing what he did with the decoy plane, it meant that everyone else had to be on the plane as normal. Like it had to be like them watching the people who were gonna attempt to assassinate him had to believe he was on the plane, and to do that they couldn't pull off any VIPs or clear out the plane completely. Have all the people get off the plane, and it would be media people, and there might be somebody in the on the plane who was giving information to Israel or Iran, whoever the threat was from. Like who knows what that's all about. But like if you pull everyone off the plane, they can just say, hey, he's not on that plane, right? So to make it like effective, they have to fucking sacrifice all these people. They're like bait. They're like decoy. And so, like they're setting this plane up to be missiled or whatever the fuck the threat was. Like, if the plane's up in the air and it's going from one location to another, then they would have to target some kind of missile on the plane. And I'm not sure how they would even do that, from that distance. I mean, these, ground to air missiles, they could certainly take down one of those planes, but I don't know what the range is. Like, you see those planes, they're 500, you can barely see them like a dot up in the sky, They're thousands of feet up in the air. And they're not like something where you can pinpoint they have to, the thing has to lock in. They have, tracking devices on those missiles. So I'm not sure how they're going to get the guy, right? Like, what was the fear? Once the plane takes off, like, what's the fear? Surface to air missiles are, limited to something like that. Like, only when you're close to the ground. But anyways, like, who knows what that fucking thing is? But for it to be effective, he has to put all those people at risk. And these are people he fucking knows and work with, people he's kind of responsible for. Like he's a father figure to them, or, he should be, grandfather figure maybe in some cases. All these people, even the reporters he doesn't like, he knows all these people. Like imagine, all your coworkers and people you you have some kind of relationship, spend a lot of time with those people. And they're like, hey, we need to save you, fuck these people. And we need to use them as a decoy. And how the fuck do you look those people in the eye like after that, right? Like how and I know like people say, well, he's president and his safety comes first. Yeah, but you don't have to put out those other people like bait, right? I mean, how credible was this threat that you would humiliate the motherfucker? And you're humiliating yourself, like hiding in fucking catering trucks and putting all these people at risk. And the reason I'm saying all this is because when the fake assassination attempt happened with Trump years ago, like last year, year and a half ago, and I said, this is fake as fuck because this is not who Trump is. Like when I first started doing this, I used to love being right. Like I used to love, whatever process I went through, the divine stuff, the connecting to divinity, whatever. Being able to have, some kind of, ability to see through the bullshit, right? And I was good at it in the beginning because of the process that I used. And, because of where I was and going through the divorce and these things, it was good to be successful and be right about things. And then like something like this with the White House thing, the fake assassination attempt, I was like the only one. Like I was stunned to hear that the other truthers weren't calling bullshit on this thing, not even questioning it, right? Not for like 6 months, and you could see it right away. And I used to liked being right, and then like it just whatever happens after a while, it just becomes. I expect it to go the way that I see it, the way that I, that it ends up when the story comes out, it aligns with what I said in the beginning. It just becomes an expectation. Like it's just, all right, that's, this is what it is, because you just gain confidence and being able to see it. And, there's a lot of flags in this thing that with the fake assassination attempt. But this shows you who Trump really is. He isn't a guy who gets up and says, fight, fight, fight. He's willing to sacrifice for his country or his family. And there are people who do that, and they're fucked up too. There are people who just can't wait to throw their life away for other people. They might have a family and fucking, small kids, and they end up dying trying to do something heroic. They desire to be heroes. And that's not appropriate either. Like, it is America. Oh my God, he died a hero. Yeah, but he left a wife with 3 kids, I mean, that, maybe he should have, like, for some piece of shit, right? So, I mean, like it's, you got to do what you're supposed to do in terms of your spiritual path and what your soul wants you to do. And trying to be a hero and looking for glory is also a fucked up thing. I'm not saying, I mean, what people do and what people don't do, it comes down to what they're supposed to do on their spiritual path. Like, you really can't speak for other people. We judge other people, I make fun of them, mock them, but, people have to do what they're supposed to do. But either way, Trump isn't that guy. Trump isn't a guy who sacrifices himself for other people. He has thrown people under the bus one after the other. He'd throw his fucking own kids under the bus. Like, they say a captain's supposed to sink with his ship. Trump would stand on the heads of babies and push them underwater and use them as flotation devices just so he could, save himself. Like, he's that fucking guy. Like, you'd see a guy you see in a movie that would do anything to save his own life. And, his most loved people, the people that he values the most, he would do anything. Like, he would outrun them so the lion would get those guys. Like, he's not a person that would ever sacrifice himself for his kids, for his wives, for anybody. He is a completely selfish person. And so I knew that was bullshit. He's kind of a pussy, right? Like, why didn't he go to Vietnam then if he was some kind of risk taker? So, this thing where he sacrificed all these people, he put these people in jeopardy. He used them as bait in a decoy plane. His coworkers and people that love him and work for him, and like the people that he would hide in a fucking catering truck. That's who he is, right? I knew that for all the way back to The Apprentice days. You can see what kind of person Trump is, and Trump is all about himself, and he ain't fucking he ain't doing that shit. And now it should be clear to everybody, but it still fucking won't. They'll make excuses, and for him to say, "I just listen to Secret Service," there's the optics of the thing, and you have a team of people that should be like, this is going to look bad, and this story is inevitably going to come out. You think you're going to swap planes and fucking isn't going to come out, and people leak shit already there, and I mean any number of people who feel like, oh my God, did he just fucking do that? Did he just send us up in the air in a plane that was like a death plane, and he hid in a fucking catering truck? Did that just fucking happen, right? Like, like, holy shit, those people all have families and kids, and and certainly the reporters. And so the story was going to come out. It always does. And it's going to make him look like a piece of shit, right? A cowardly piece of shit. And he's not fucking, saying to them and the people around him, his publicity people, saying, yeah, this is a bad fucking look. We can't do this, like, fucking to the Secret Service. Like, if this is the only way for him to get home. And then it ended up being not a credible threat. Like, what the fuck? And so, also it just makes him look like he's, it doesn't make him look strong, and America looks strong. It makes America look like a bunch of pussies that they're scared of Iran. They're like fucking, they're gonna get us, like fucking the boogeyman. He's going through all this extensive ruse and, then showing back up on the other plane. That's hilariously fucking bad. It's just so fucking bad. And so, I mean, I was having thoughts about how, like, I mean, it's almost making me giddy how embarrassingly fucking cowardly it is. Not just for him, but the government, all this stuff. I mean, like, Trump going down would be, I mean, J.D. Vance is horrible, but certainly anybody would be better than Trump at this point. And J.D. Vance could get out of Iran, without much damage, because it's Trump's war, right? It's Trump's failure. Like, Trump, I mean, it would. Someone's got to eat this thing. It's going to be Trump. It can't be anybody else. And so that's whatever. The other thing was I read some Whispers of the Brighter World last night, and I woke up this morning and I had this weird dream about how I was going somewhere, and I was at this place, and somehow I was going up like almost a vertical fucking hill, riding like a little bike, and I wasn't. I mean, and then I had to walk up the hill, and I was really tired. And so people were sort of passing me by, and some old guy passed me by, someone older than me, like old. He goes, "Come on, whippersnapper." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not." He goes, "I wasn't prepared for this," and I got up there, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, and I have this heart thing. I'm dreaming about how, and my heart has been, I really haven't had regular heartbeats. This D-ribose and whatever remedies and stuff I've been taking seem to have, whatever it was, but." I woke up and my nephew was in the dream and he was sitting there, but he was like, I often dream about people, and in my dream I know who they are, but they're in somebody else's body, like they're in somebody else's, they don't look like they normally look. But my middle nephew's there and we were talking. I forget what this conversation was, something I forgot about it since I woke up. But it was pouring. Like I woke up and the rain was coming down. We've had like torrential rains the last couple of days. Like, we've had a lot of rain this summer, but this was crazy. Everything was flooded. Pouring, lightning, struck right by our house. And, I whenever I had the heart thing, it usually a lot of times involved barometric pressure. Like I have a glitch out and I like the rain, and rain in Sajmarg is supposed to be, divine grace falling from heaven when it's at a gathering or something. Like there's auspicious aspect to physical rain that has spiritual, blessings in it. And, not like every day, every rainstorm, but, oftentimes. When I took my first 3 meditations, my initial sittings, it was pouring. Like it rained like this, the middle of August or early August. In Massachusetts, it was flooded, like unbelievably so. And so I woke up and I think my heart was beating fast, like not irregular, but fast. I couldn't really tell. And then, of course, having a dream like that. But, I was worried because I felt a little bit off. I've been feeling really good. But, like I said, whenever it gets like this, there's just, I don't know whether it's the electromagnetic energy or the change in barometric pressure. I would often get the migraines when the barometric pressure would change, which kind of sucks or whatever, but it's something that I can at least kind of prepare for. And so, anyway, so I woke up and I did a meditation, and I was thinking about this one Whispers of the Brighter World. So there's a woman to receive these messages. She was a French woman who was a medium and had past lives that come out throughout this process, where she was, connected to higher developed souls in past lives. She was connected to Swami Vivekananda, and she was a Christian saint who was receiving messages from God. Sister Avila, I think her name was. And some of these other things. And she had a fucked up back, couldn't leave the house, was like a shut-in. And she had a lot of self-doubt, right? Constantly having to be reassured. And she had produced this massive amount of channeled messages, mostly from Babaji, the second master, who passed away in 1983. And she often, feels kind of worthless or, not whatever it is. But, she feels she should do more or something like this, or be better. Needs a lot of reassurance. Thursday, April 26, 2001, 8 a.m. And the medium says, Babaji, let me serve you always more and better. And Babaji says, you are serving, my child. What more do you want? Be satisfied with the current status. Being of service in our way means primarily to do one's abhyas correctly. And abhyas means your spiritual practice. So that's the meditation. To work for oneself is to work for the multitude. None of you should forget this principle, which perhaps does not seem obvious to you. All sacred texts more or less echo these comments, formulated in another way, without dwelling on that and giving you complicated explanations that are not in the line with the style of these messages. We will simply say that all harmonious vibrations emanating from a heart in meditation, as well as thoughts of love and all that elevate your thoughts, benefit all your brothers and sisters. It is a well-established rule. Think of the multitude of beings who meditate every day, devoting time to this practice, and who pray for the good of humanity. This egregore is like a group that is working in a singular direction, in communion. This egregore is powerful. It constitutes a force that neutralizes the effects of another force, one that is negative. This is how your sadhana is your spiritual practice, elevates you all, while contributing to to a noble cause. You are, each and every one, beacons illuminating the darkness like the stars in a dark sky. They put the dark sky off to the side, and it's at the bottom of the page, so I keep on missing it. Beacons illuminating the darkness like the stars in a dark sky. What could be more beautiful than this beautiful spectacle delighting the human heart? It reveals to the human heart the infinite grandeur of the divine creation, Babaji. And I talked about this a little bit last night, but I was tired and I read a bunch of messages. But this one stuck out this morning, and it's important because of a couple of reasons. But the spiritual practice of the Sajmark system, and any spiritual practice, when people do anything, even if it's not effective or they're just trying to figure it out themselves. But when you connect to God and you feel God's love and you feel God's energy and you connect to it, you become like he calls it, a beacon here. Also a conduit for it. And it affects the vibratory status of people. There's this 100th monkeys syndrome where monkeys were using this tool. And so they study these monkeys in like one part of the world, and the same species, the same monkeys in another part of the world started to spontaneously do the same behavior once enough monkeys did it. It became something that all monkeys could access, right? And it became, it's a little clear whether this was scientifically proven, but it is, an actual principle. There's a guy who broke the 4-minute mile, then everyone started doing it. And you watch people, when somebody achieves something as a breakthrough, other people will take that breakthrough and move forward with it, right? So, you have to, people elevate each other. And it's the Sajmark principle, I talk about only spirituality will save this world. And the reason is, like, you do the Sajmark practice, and, in any spiritual practice, but the Sajmark is like, to me, the best one. The meditation that I do. And a lot of it is like just punching the clock. Like, you meditate every day, and some of the meditations are good, some of them are unpleasant, some are restless, some are better than others. And, you do this cleaning, and you go to gatherings, and you get these sittings, and you just transform as a person, like you just change internally. And sometimes it's so subtle that you don't even really notice it, but you're a different person. Like, you start looking back at yourself, and you're like, wow, like that's how I used to be. You think about things you used to do and thoughts you had, and compulsions you had, and anger and hatred you felt for people. Like just negative feelings that you used to have, and it's just like gone. Like it's and sometimes there's like you go through a tough cleaning. There's specific things that you attribute to the change, but the change happens like just by doing it. And you affect people around you. And another principle in the Sajmark system, the reason why you hang out with the master of the system, but also elder people who do the practice correctly, who are like beacons in the, people who stand out. And when you're around them, you feel better. Like a lot of the negativity that you have, less stuff is getting cleaned out like you're at a gathering with the master, but you rise to a higher level of consciousness, and, I've seen this, like people talk about how great athletes will make their teammates better. Like first they're great, and then they learn to elevate the teammates around them. And they elevate their opponents too. Like, a great basketball player will bring out more from their opponents. Their opponents rise to a higher level to be able to compete. And so this is like, this is a competitive sort of, thing that I'm talking about here. But on a more communal type situation, a higher developed soul will raise up the community. And people who don't even know the person lives next door to them, just thinks that they're weird or whatever, like they benefit from these vibrations. And when you go into the house of somebody who really does this spiritual practice, the energy is completely different in that person's house. And, when that person goes to work, or we would go to a gathering, and this energy would just elevate people. And you'd go back to, your family and work, and, people who necessarily didn't do the practice, and it would affect them. And those of us who've done it have seen it. And it's much easier to see in the negative. Everybody's had a friend or someone in the family that just brings them down, pulls out your worst part of you, pulls out the darkness, like the lower part of you, makes you angry, makes you feel hatred, or, that person, or maybe it's a friend that's a fuck up or a, criminal, and they, when you're around them, your life goes to shit, and you get sick, and you're making bad decisions, and, negative influence. So people say that person's a bad influence. And this is one of the primary things. Like you seek out people who are higher and who are good influences, and they pull you up. So many people seek out bad influences, and, out of some misguided sense of loyalty or whatever it might be. And I wanted to combine these two things together that I was talking about, because I had this thought yesterday, and I never got around to it. Before, I read the Whispers messages, and before I knew about Trump doing the catering thing, like towards the end of the video I made yesterday. And that is, Trump is largely a figurehead. Like we talk about this shadow government and all this stuff, and the handlers and these things. But who he is as a person, who Joe Biden was as a person, and who all these scumbags are, affects people, because he's the father of the country. Like, he is the patriarch. He's the leader, right? He's the person you look up to aspire to be like, right? He's a hero to many people and a villain to others. But who he is as a person, and I'm not talking about political policy. I'm not talking about decisions that are made. I'm talking about his energy, his consciousness. It permeates the whole country. I mean, even on a global basis, but certainly America. And those decisions he makes and the actions that are taken, but also he brings people down because he's a low, selfish piece of shit. And all these presidents are, like all these politicians. The same for celebrities. If you have a hero, somebody that you think is great as an athlete, or people that you idolize, people that you're a fan of, and you connect to these people, could be even on social media, and their energy affects you, right? You absorb their qualities. You become like them, right? Whatever you meditate on, you become. That's why we meditate on God, right? To pull out your divine essence. You meditate on God, and then, you start to embrace the qualities and the divinity within you, and you rise to a higher level. You're connecting with God because it elevates you as a person. But if you connect with demons, if you connect with negative people, criminals, and you watch movies about this. I mean, now they're making serial killers, like that Dexter show and these other shows. Silence of the Lambs are the protagonists, right? They started making villains. Remember Maleficent, which is a Disney villain, became a hero in those movies. Like, they started to make these dark figures the heroes. People who are selfish, people who are low, and everybody starts absorbing those qualities through their connection, because your mind is attuned to you. You watch Trump every day, and he brings you down. Like, he brings all these people, these liars, Erica Kirk, these the Democrats, Joe Biden, like, they're all pieces of shit, and they bring you down. Like, they don't, they're not higher developed souls they're pulling you up. In fact, they disregard saintly people. True saints, you got these fake pastors and these other pieces of shit. But, true spiritual people are, they define the qualities of a true spiritual person. Being soft as being weak. Like, soft of heart you have to be. You have to be sensitive. You have to be, you have to have a soft heart. You have to be compassionate. You have to be empathetic. They make those qualities a weak person, right? You're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be a killer. You're supposed to be selfish. You're supposed to, all these things. And so, that's why we're going in the wrong direction, because there's always higher developed souls. There's always people that can pull you up. And, and those people don't want to be famous for, every reason that you can think of. You could list them yourself. Why would they want fame when people suck so bad, and, all these things. But you have to seek them out. Like, you have to seek spiritual people out and connect with them in whatever way it is. And it even can be through writings and, inspirational books. But like I said about the Old Testament, the way they portray God is he's a selfish prick. He's a demon. The God of the Old Testament is demonic, narcissist. All these negative things. And people, connect to God. They think of the God like that, so they're connecting to a demon pretending to be God or being sold to them as God, right? And so, this is why the world's in the state it is, because people are always looking down. And people like to look down at other people and shit on them and, feel better about themselves or whatever. But very few people want to find, people that can elevate them, people to aspire to be like. And that's the fundamental basis behind the Sage-Mark system. You get to spend time with people who have risen to the highest levels of spirituality and people who have, are on that path. And, it was, when it worked, it was great. Then, of course, dodgy shit on the whole thing. But in terms of, the system, it's, this is the way that people get better. That's why I say when only spirituality will save this world, it's to bring out the highest part by embracing and elevating, trying to be like emulating or imitating the people who have done this, right? People who are on a higher level instead of killing them and, destroying them. And, because those people then, they're going to, their life is going to be an example of what you should do. And your ego doesn't like it. It means you got to give up a lot of things. You got to, give up your negativity. And people don't like that. Like, it means you're going to have to change for the better. It means that there is something to work for, that the world isn't a piece of shit with just, human beings. This is the best we can do. It means that you're slacking and you're not becoming what you're supposed to become. And those people just make everyone else feel shitty about themselves who don't want to deal with the change, right? Either you like get excited about it, enthusiastic, going, oh my God, there is a purpose and I can do something better. And there's, a lot of people do that, but majority of people go, oh, fuck this guy. He's reminding me what a piece of shit I am. I better let's get him, and that's, what's happened over and over, especially in the Western part of the world. And so that's why, our system's degraded, because there are options. There's the higher and the lower. There's the ego and the soul. And almost everybody embraces their ego and follows demonic people. All right, so let's get into the other stuff here.
One thing that they brought up as well was a post from you in 2021 where you said Americans should cancel Thanksgiving, should have done this in 1621.
So this person, I believe her name is Francesca Hung, and she said, cancel Thanksgiving. Should have been done this, should have done this in 1621. Or 1622, who's counting? It takes a worldwide pandemic for us to realize we should stop celebrating colonialism and the original super spreader event that killed indigenous folks and women, so be it. I'm not sure what a foik is, and I'm not sure what an indigenous foik is, but, happened. And women. What do you mean and women? Foiks and women. All right. So this did not work out for her, as you're going to see.
The post has been deleted. Republicans have been highlighting it. Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
I'm a chef, and one of the first meals that I made that was...
I bet you're going to say Thanksgiving. Key thing to remember is she said Republicans have been highlighting this. So she's running for governor of Wisconsin. I think I already said that. And she's running against a Democrat. It's a primary, and then the election will be held in November, right? This whole thing. And so, midterms. And, she's going to start talking about her being a chef. It's not going well for her, right? But Republicans are highlighting this. Important thing to remember.
For the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. I always think my hospitality background in owning a restaurant for 7, 8 years, that bringing folks around the table to share conversation and build community is always a good thing.
What the fuck are you talking about? You're talking about restaurants being community builders? That you were building community? Getting folks around the table? When you're a chef, you're busy as shit. You're stressed out. You're probably pretty much a prick, right? And you're a restaurant owner even more so. You work long fucking hours and, you barely interact with the fucking customers What do you mean bringing people around the table? Like you're comparing your restaurant to a Thanksgiving Day meal?
But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities. And so I think there I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views, but views can evolve. And the position that I'm running for right now, and I think my background as a chef, will actually help me become a better governor that's able to bring more people to the table.
Well, Joe, it turns out Wisconsin Democrats like Thanksgiving.
Well, she said she was for Thanksgiving after all by the end. But yeah, no doubt this is a big shock for Democrats, for most observers inside the state of Wisconsin, for people who've been following this race closely. And, you know, we talk an awful lot about these DSA candidates and their backgrounds.
So this is what I've been saying. You know, Republicans are putting on this big, the communists are going to take over. And anything that happens that goes more liberal and more bullshit that comes out is because you shit out Trump as a candidate twice. And he sucks, right? But the Democrats, as bad as they suck, and they suck really bad. And, the Republicans and Democrats suck differently. And you can gauge for yourself. I mean, the suck meter for people is very subjective. But where the Democrats are better than the Republicans is they have never left their crazies run the party. Joe fucking whatever, Scarborough is going to say that about Joe Biden, how Joe Biden was getting beat up for not being liberal enough, and then came down to South Carolina and he won. Of course, they rigged it for him, which they're not talking about. But the Democrats always elect moderates, which I've said before. They don't, they flirt with liberals. They elect moderates. And, these Republicans that use the AOCs and these other people as ways to scare their base into voting for them, again, the Democrats have nothing to offer. Voting's stupid. The whole thing's a fucking, joke. But, even here, there was a correction. She was supposed to win. She was favored. And this Thanksgiving Day thing came out. You don't tell Americans, we're going to take away your holidays, right? You don't fuck with Americans' holidays. It's like, they don't want to hear any of that shit. And it's just, and she wrote it in 2021. I don't know what she was just a chef then or whatever. But, that's the kind of tweet that gets you to lose a close election. And she's already conceded and all that shit. But this is what I've been saying. This bullshit communist ploy that the Republicans are rolling out, it doesn't hold water because the Democrats are not going to elect these liberal fucking socialist communist people. They're not. I mean, in fringe places, like maybe some really liberal place in like San Francisco or some non-contested place. But those people are not going to run the party's agenda because the Democrats have never let that happen. Whereas the Republicans have often handed the party over to the right-wing crazies. In this case, the QAnon bullshit people and the MAGA retards, right? So, and that's where the Democrats have at least been, they check their crazies a lot better than the Republicans do. So I was interested to see how Candace Owens responded to Brandy's Dronesy, that whole thing. That hit piece that she did on MS Now, which is nothing because no one watches that shit. But Candace Owens was going to do something about it because she's sensitive. But this video was recommended to me and I found this piece here.
Point USA. When she reached out to me, I basically barked at her. I literally, my reaction was not, oh, she must be working with Turning Point USA. It was like, obviously Turning Point USA would not work with this woman in the wake of Charlie's assassination. And lo and behold, I find out that they did work with her. Anyway, I'm just going to run a clip of her, what turned out to be a 45-minute episode of MSN Now, a series that they have, where she shared my response to her. I'm really proud of it. Take a listen.
I first met Candace Owens in 2018. Okay, so first, I really appreciate you taking this time. I know that this was like...
started out in a Twitter battle.
I'd come to Stanford University to see her speak with Charlie Kirk. Kirk was just 24 years old then. He'd worked social media on Trump's 2016 campaign and was back to building Turning Point USA. The group he'd started 4 years earlier to fight the left on college campuses and to recruit young Republicans.
If you're asking me, do I think the black community has been crippled economically, the answer would be yes. It has been crippled economically by Democrat policies.
Kirk was crisscrossing the country, owning the libs, and building a digital enterprise on the back of his college debate tapes.
What have I ever said that's racist? Name one thing. You've been able people to name one about racism.
All right, so this is not. Let's go forward here. Where is it? Here it is. I think this is the piece. Go on the list here.
It's a weird thing to say, since this was the text Candace sent after that story published, and inconsistent with how an organization struggling.
Oh, here it is. Here's the part.
But they invited me.
Charlie Kirk assassination story. So I want you to take a listen to Brandy discussing how she was welcomed into their
Okay, so she tweeted out the whole thing. So here, let's see if Candace addresses this here. I didn't see this part. 2151.
never see the day because
Here, spent weeks talking to doctors who treated trans kids, a vulnerable group, a small group of people, at ever more risk now as they're being targeted for cheap political points. Most of the reporting will never see the day because people are afraid. It makes me very sad.
people are afraid. It makes me very sad. Oh. And just to really highlight the point here, even amongst people who support transgenderism, the majority of them draw the line at transitioning children. Not Brandy, okay? She also tweeted this. Doctors providing, and this is her article,
They went back too far here. Here.
And Turning Point USA partnered with her anyway, out of what we can only assume is their ever-increasing desperation to smear me and all of those who are researching the many flaws in the Charlie Kirk assassination story. So I want you to take a listen to Brandy discussing how she was welcomed into their headquarters.
I asked Turning Point USA for an interview to find out what they were dealing with and what they saw as the path forward. They declined.
Okay, so part of this story is Brandy's a Zadronzi fucking tweeted right after Charlie died that there was a new conspiracy theory going around blaming these furry trans people, right? Like that was her thing. That was her takeaway, that they were going to be targeted. And so she was already against this idea of Tyler Robinson. But, you know, with Candace Owens, and really, Candace Owens is the face of something that many of us are clear about what happened. I mean, Candace was late to the party 4 months after, when she finally went after Erica Kirk, who was her real target. But, you know, they're always going to pin it on somebody, like an Alex Jones, a Candace Owens, a Tucker Carlson, somebody who's a shill, somebody who's, you know, easy to dismiss because they say a lot of bullshit and they put out a lot of disinformation, right? But the reality is that this woman is not on board with Turning Point USA and the Trump administration, FBI, Utah, going after a guy who's a transgender furry lover, right? But they allowed her to interview Erica anyway.
To go on the record, but they invited me to their Phoenix headquarters where I sat down with Erica and other leadership. They spent hours with me. They answered all my questions. What I saw was an organization struggling to weather a storm that would have been unthinkable a year ago, struggling to grieve, struggling to navigate near constant threats and harassment, and wondering each day what false storyline Candace Owens will come up with next.
So, I mean, that's great. That's how desperate TPUSK is.
It's perfect. And then once again, people will blame me for the fact that this backfires and people then recognize that Turning Point USA is just entirely fraudulent positions that they represent. Why would they welcome her into the headquarters? Wouldn't they be like, you support transgenderism and Charlie Kirk just got killed by a trans furry and there's no... Come on in.
So that's how desperate they are. I mean, it seems, you know, it's always seemed fake to whatever extent. You know, that these things always seem somewhat fake. Like you feel no emotion about it. I mean, you don't feel like, you know, Charlie Kirk's dead. I didn't even know he was. He's like a cartoon character. I mean, he doesn't even exist to me, like as a person. And then all the people around him, whether it be Candace or Erica Kirk. None of them are grieving properly. None of them are, dealing with this properly. They're all supposed to be his family. His family looks weird. His kids look like they're not real. Like, that weird shit they do with his kids. His marriage looks completely fake. Like, it's an Instagram marriage, like some kind of, I mean, it's just, none of it looks real. But, like, whatever it is going on with Turning Point USA, I mean, like, that's fucking desperate. Like, talking to Brandy Zadronzi, like, who Charlie hated, and, like, she covered them negatively, and back when she covered them as conspiracy theorists. But now, since Candace represents the winning side in the the conspiracy theorist war, she's going with Erica Kirk. Looks like an organization just not knowing what to do with Candace's next lie, right? Like, and then they bring her in, which is just going to make it look worse. I mean, and when does Erica Kirk show up again? Like, is she just in hiding? She comes out once in a while and fake cries. Like, she's like the groundhog of fake fucking crying, and But apparently, as I was trying to find this, because last night I found it easily, because it was only, it was a live thing. It just popped up. But apparently Blake Neff, here's Blake Neff. This is right when the bullet didn't match the gun, right? And here.
And what they found was that it was inconclusive. And that just means it could work with the gun, but it's not proven that it was with that gun. And that's not surprising because the bullet had fragmented and been damaged, and sometimes you're just unable to do that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a fucking huge piece of the puzzle, which we've talked about this before. Like, this is bad for the prosecution. I mean, they really needed the bullet to match the gun. And, most people don't even believe the bullet was a part of it, like any bullet. Like, this was a bomb or something, or fucking, whatever people believe, they don't believe the gun and the whole thing. The gun's fucking weird. And so, but this is horrible for them.
And that was carried by a lot of people who, frankly, I think are getting whipped up into conspiracy theory stuff and the like.
Conspiracy theory.
Say, it's confirmed this bullet doesn't match. And all this prosecutor did, I don't think they were trying to engage in contempt, but they came out and they just pushed back and corrected this misconception. But the judge said, you're not allowed to do that. We're going to hold you. They hold you in contempt, but it's a minor contempt.
It's a minor contempt. It's not a major one. It's like it's a little bit contempt. It's not like a lesser word should be used here. All right. Here's the problem with that. Well, let's go to the rest of this.
Where it's going to affect jury selection. They're going to have to make sure they don't get jurors who were affected by that. I don't think that's going to be a big deal because I don't think...
Look at how weird Charlie Kirk's face is. Watch his face here.
It was widely covered that this person had said this. And...
He doesn't seem like a real person, right?
What matters here is, yes, they keep the death...
Like, it's almost like you could pull his top of his head and it would, like, go up like some kind of rubber doll. Like, some, like heavy rubber, not like a, like a silly putty or something. Play, like, he's like a mush, like
penalty on the
he's a mush man.
Table.
All right, so this is the part.
The death penalty on the table. They're certainly keeping life in prison and other justifiable punishments on the table.
So, death penalty and life in prison, justifiable punishments. They've already convicted this guy, and I guess he said somewhere else, I couldn't find it. He's really pushing for the death penalty. The problem with this is Erica Kirk forgave him. Let's get back to it.
And we're headed towards a key week of preliminary hearings about a couple weeks from now. And I think, speaking for myself and many others, we're looking forward to that because we want the world to see the extent of the evidence that is available.
Yeah, there's no evidence. We now know there's no fucking evidence. Like, it's all circumstantial evidence, nothing. It's not a slam dunk. But going back to what I was saying, so Trump and Erica Cunt both said this guy was guilty 8 days in. And Trump was already saying he hoped the guy got the death penalty, I think, right? And she already forgave him. And that taints the jury. Like, you're not supposed to do that shit. But then the prosecutor said the bullet matched the gun, and then he then he said, "Oh, sorry, I'm fucking, and I mean, the whole thing seems like a joke. It seems more like a, shitty trial in a movie, just like the fake assassination attempt and these other things. They look like B movie shit. Like they're so unconvincing, like they're so not real, right? But all these people that are coming out and saying this stuff, there isn't. This is not a slam dunk. There's a lot of doubt. I mean, the guy did. This was whatever the verdict is. There's no evidence, and the story doesn't make sense. And the it goes with all these other fake assassination fucking bullshit shootings that with the lone gunman that never makes sense. And all the things all the holes in the story. And, to convict the guy and claim he's guilty, right, is just wrong on every level. It's just, you'd be ruining somebody's life. And, there's going to be a trial, so just keep your mouth shut. And you don't want to taint the jury. If you really do believe he's guilty, you don't forgive him 8 days in if you're Erica Kant, right?
In this case.
Yeah, Blake, do you mind me asking what you, Charlie's friends, his colleagues, the family and so on, are you seeking the death penalty? Would that provide some, I know Charlie, nothing can ever change what happened, but would that provide a slither of justice?
I don't want to speak for anyone else. I believe it would be a justified penalty.
I mean, right now, I'm getting aroused. I'm just fucking guy, right?
I don't want to speak for anyone else. I believe it would be a justified penalty. Erica herself, she notably she forgave Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, she thought it was some fun. Remember how awesome that was?
When she was speaking at his memorial. But that's not to say that he shouldn't be punished. What we believe that the job of punishing criminals is the job of the state.
All right, fuck you, Blake. So, he wants the death penalty. This is wonderful. I mean, they're killing it with this hair thing. It's just funny every time you see it. Most influential hair in history. It comes in a time where he's definitely doing extensions or they're doing something. It's fucking 11:51 here, and I can barely see. Like, it's so dark. We've had this fucking storm, man. There hasn't been any kind of really light out this morning. Like, I should really have the light on. It's so bad. I don't want to do too much today because this video is not coming out till Thursday? No, tomorrow, Friday. So I got 2 days to put this together. I want to work on my Journey Series video and get that up for tomorrow. But anyways, holy shit, look at this motherfucker. It's wonderful. The reason I was saying that is, a day like this, it's so dark outside. I'm going to try to get my dogs outside. Buddy doesn't like to go out in the rain, but we can go for a walk because everything's going to be wet and flooded. It's probably a little bit cold for August out there. But, it's very easy for me to just sit here all day and do this. Because, I can't do any farm work or anything outside. And, it's a lazy day. I actually went back to sleep this morning. And I didn't get out of bed till 9 something. Which is very rare, but it was so dark, and, I woke up early, and then, I had that weird dream, and then I sort of was worried my heart was racing a little bit, and then I just, I did a sitting, and then next thing you know, it was 9, so it was 7 when I woke up, early 7, 6:59 or something.
Fantastic time in Ohio. The country's doing well. The stock market's fantastic.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about the stock market. I mean, the people who give a shit about the stock market are a small percentage of the people. People who hear this, they make it feel better. Oh, good, the stock market's doing well. Do you have any stocks? No, but I mean, that's, but that doesn't mean shit, right? To the majority of people. Inflation means everything to them.
Record. We have 79 records so far in a short period of time. More people are working right now in the United States than ever before, and prices are dropping fast. Iran is going fine, going just absolutely fine. We totally control the Strait of Hormuz. We have control over it. Nobody else, only us, our Navy.
Nobody else? Who else? Does Panama have control over it? Just us?
It's unbelievable, and things are going great for our country. Go ahead.
Yeah, how come you were hiding in the back of a fucking cart? Like, what happened, brah? Okay, so here's fuck is going on. So, it wasn't raining and I waited too long. I brought my dogs out and I fed we have fish. I throw fish food out to the pond fish. We got so many fish now. I got to bring some of them out to the big pond because, anyways, and I was bringing my dogs out. Buddy didn't want to leave the porch, and Tulsi runs out, of course, because she's like, an unstoppable force. They're like total opposites. People are like, are they twins? I'm like, no, they're not even close. Like, they're the most opposite they could possibly be. And we were out there, and I got them both. I got Buddy off the porch, and they were both peeing, and I'm like, fuck, there's thunder, and then all of a sudden you could hear the rain, like, coming towards us. Like, hard, like it was going to go from, like, just a few drops to being a downpour. And so, it's just dark and, like, fucking crazy stormy out there. So this is about vaccines. I didn't watch it, but it looks like it's going to be really promising.
American children. Here's what he's announcing tonight. Trump upending vaccines for American children.
No way. Life-saving vaccines?
Here's what he's announcing tonight. He's signing an executive order that says that core crucial vaccines, including for hepatitis, are no longer recommended for children, setting America back and putting lives at risk. And it seems
lives at risk
all because of a false belief that vaccines are tied to autism.
Decades ago, children received only a small
fraction. Right, so we know about that shit. But she does some kind of experiment here.
Facts and the science on this particular issue when it comes to vaccines are clear. As Republican Senator Bill Cassidy posted, I'm a doctor. This executive order is wrong. Autism and vaccines aren't linked. And yet, the chief science officer for the Autism Science Foundation came out and spoke. The quote there, vaccines have 1,000% been exonerated.
Have they? Fucking have they? Have they? Look, I think they're exonerated. And who paid your bills over there? Is it Pfizer? Did you guys get your bills paid by Pfizer?
And yet, here is President Trump today.
I saw this early on, and I've seen proof of it, where they have a vaccination thing, looks like the size of a bottle of soda, poured into a little child's body.
Poured into him? Do you know how? So you didn't get the vaccine that you're the father of then? You think they get poured into?
Now, that's nonsense.
It's nonsense? Better fact check them.
All of us parents know that. A vaccination that's the size of a soda bottle? I mean,
look at this shit. But kids and parents are feeding their kids this sugary death. I mean, it's one of the worst things for you. These kids are drinking fucking gallons of soda, right? I mean, just look at this shit right here. And she's taking the label off. Don't want to promote soda. Like, yeah, of course that you're fact checking Trump now. Like, I mean, now after all these years, you're fact checking him. I mean, not that they haven't all along, but yeah, of course he said stupid shit.
That's a lot. That's silly and insane, right? And by the way, Trump, when it came out to what this is, how much? Well, this is the soda bottle, and we got actually a little syringe here, just so
a syringe. You got a syringe?
They can see it.
Wait, let's do it.
So we can let's
fucking do it.
Purposes of accuracy
fucking
here.
do it.
My eyes aren't so good, but I will show you the soda bottle that the President of the United States is referring to, and the single dose 0.5 ml in one MMR vaccine, the one that has been falsely accused of being linked to autism. So there you go.
It's just fucking, look. I mean, it's barely nothing. This little bit of poison can't do shit to a baby, right? Like, I mean, they're putting that much poison into a 10-pound baby. Is that like, that doesn't have an immune system, that doesn't need to be vaccinated because they don't have a fucking immune system. They're doing it just to train the parents. And the kid fucking melts down and the mom notices like the kid just disappeared. So you guys, it's like the soul disappears, right? Like the kid just goes, like your consciousness is not there because you fucked them over with this poison that you can't sue the company for because there's a vaccine court. Look at this thing.
Oh, Trump's dose, reality.
Reality. There's reality right there. It's Trump's dose and reality. I mean, Trump says they're pouring this much into a little kid. It's crazy. Right? Jesus Christ. You know, this is the end of civilization.
They're pretty different.
They're pretty different. Okay,
Trump was
thanks.
asked that.
Which one's more has more in it? Tell me which one has more.
Where are you getting your information? So here's what he said.
I think I heard you say that the MMR vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella is quite lethal. Is there any evidence of that? Because anyone in the room?
What I've heard is that there are some people that say it is that way. And I've heard when you put them together, they can be explosive.
Explosive.
Some people is not science.
It's not science, some people. You got to get scientific shills that work for pharmaceutical companies to tell you the truth.
Some people is just what you hear people saying. And in this case, it's not true.
It's not true. It just isn't. That's not true. It's not true. All right. Enough of this cunt. Okay, fucking Christmas came early. Holy shit. So I clicked out of that and I had this toolbar for these guys. Andrew Covert and his little pal Blake. You know, I was maybe going to go to Fox News and see how they were trying to spin Trump's fucking cowardly, bait playing fucking action here. And these guys are defending it or something. They're covering it. This is great.
Story, okay?
Wait. We got, he said,
crazy story, okay? Where apparently it's contradicting public statements. Trump took a secret flight from Turkey.
You mean he lied?
Amid an Iranian threat. So the White House said the president was aboard
death penalty.
Air Force One, but as he was leaving this NATO summit in Turkey, instead his departure included an elaborate ruse,
lying,
that concealed his travel, and it included
cowardly. Look at Blake.
Included a catering cart, which is it's a crazy.
You mean a cowering cart? You mean when he cowered and fucking hid and fucking
story, but it kind of underscores just how serious the threat is against President Trump. I mean, we documented 10 different times where he's been nearly like an attempted assassination or a documented threat against his life. And we knew there had to have been more. And there turns out there is. There's up to 5 different places where he's been hidden in the course of just traveling about. And
he's cowering like a coward.
And this is the latest one from the Washington Post.
Oh, you want the Washington Post now. Contradicting public statements, Trump took secret flight from Turkey amid Iranian threat.
Yeah. President Trump, it's like he's so heavily hated.
So why is that? Because he's making America and the world great again? Is that why he's hated so much?
Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. He's such a hated person. They've whipped up this frenzy about him for years on end at this point that we had to endure, obviously, the fascist Nazi stuff. So they've stoked endless hostility.
Okay, so this is Iranian people. This has nothing to do with the mainstream media fomenting hate and making Trump sound worse than he is, because nobody could fucking possibly do that, right? Nobody could possibly. Hey, Blake, Jesus Christ, bro. This is about, him bombing Iran without provocation for a foreign country that just committed, which genocide isn't the proper word, but a hate crime, war crime against the Palestinian people. I mean, the children and all the shit they've done there. And, just all the bullshit they've done. Bombing USS Liberty, all the stuff that Israel's been responsible for. And so Iran Trump's Israel's bitch, and he bombed Iran because of it. And so they get to go after him. He's killed their leader. He purposely bombed their leader. So wouldn't it be fair for Iran to go after Netanyahu and Trump? Of course it would be. This is fucking war, right? Like, there's no situation where you can throw punches and you can fucking lob insults and say mean things and don't expect to get it back. And in fact, it's a spiritual, rule that everything that you do comes back to you. Like if you have a good thought, it spins around the universe and eventually comes back to the person that has it. You do good deeds, you do good things, everything comes back around. People call this karma, but there's, it's more, it's more of just the cyclical nature of things. and everything returns to its source. It's like it boomerangs. Like you throw something out to the world, and eventually it's coming back to you. You throw out hate, you're going to receive hate back. And so if you do something, then you are then subject to get that same thing done to you. It's why people who murder people can't sleep at night. Like, now you're in this cycle of behavior, and it's going to come back around to you. Like, it's why, it's a selfish reason for why you should behave in a good way, because it's all coming back to you. And so it's perfectly acceptable for Iran to target Trump the way that America and Israel targeted Iranian and other leaders. Trump has assassinated people, droned people. Obama did, the rest of them. And for years, after fucking up Iran in the first place with Operation Ajax, what America has done to Iran inevitably is going to come back to America. It can't not. And they fucked Iran over numerous times and have this, this bad relationship with them, abusive relationship. Operation Ajax, where they took out a moderate leader, which everyone wish Iran had now, a person where Iran was a modern country, like Dubai or one of these progressive country for the Middle East. And now it's a regressive country, and, they're whining about it, but you broke it, you bought it, motherfuckers, right? And so this stuff always comes back to you. You can't do, bad shit and lie and be deceptive and murder and do all this shit and not expect it to come back. And it's coming back to Trump in some way, shape, or form, and certainly America. And, all these misdeeds. Like, it's always there. Like, you never get away with anything.
To him domestically, and then now internationally, we have to worry about these things as well. That he does face a lot of danger. He is this, honestly, I just think about what a dramatic historical figure he is, and how it makes you feel like there's a lot of, I don't want to say the hand of God specifically, though of course God's hand is on everything, but it's just the way
God's hand. What the fuck you talking?
God's hand is on everything.
Oh my God, what are you talking about, Blake?
I don't want to say the hand of God specifically, though of course God's hand is on everything. But
you're calling Trump the hand of God. You fucking shit me.
It's just.
So is Erica God's? Is Erica God's cunt? Like,
the way it's like
the cunt of God.
Man, I am totally losing my ability to articulate this, but it's just the world.
Why don't you articulate the part where he put a bunch of people he knows and loves on a fucking, or should love, on a decoy plane? Let's get to that part.
It sort of seems to revolve around him at all times.
It does, and now he's at the top of the hit list with the Iranians, and I have to play this clip because CNN's really upset about this, and you'll never guess why. Stop 15.
Yeah, we'll guess why, because he put out a decoy plane.
It's all, I think, this very elaborate shell game that the Secret Service and the White House orchestrated. It doesn't necessarily match with the explanation that the president put out at the time for this switch in aircraft between the Qatar-donated Air Force One, which is that black and red plane, and the Legacy Air Force One. He said at the time that he wanted to show it off to troops who were positioned in the UK. Now we understand that it is these threats from Iran that led to the switch. It all, I think, also led to the people who actually did fly on the blue and white plane, reporters and staff, to become unwitting decoys in this ruse.
They're really upset about this.
I like that. I like that part.
The reporter.
Okay, these two twinks, these two closeted gay dudes, these beta males sharing one testicle, these, just horrible people. There's no defending this because these people are American citizens, right? And, they weighed Trump's life, this old ass, decrepit piece of shit, worthless human being. But even if you think he's great, they weighed his life. What hero in any fucking movie, any right-wing movie for dumb fuck, military right-wing fucking total right-wing movie, red meat for the right wing. What hero in any of those movies, what Clint Eastwood movie, in any of these type of movies, even like Air Force One with Harrison Ford, any of these heroes would weigh their life against the life of the people on that plane. They're all American citizens. Some of them his trusted cabinet people, that he would expect them unwittingly to be a decoy, where they would be on the plane, a plane that could get hit by a missile or something if they take this seriously, which they obviously were, and that all these people would not be told, hey, guess what? You guys are going to be a fucking decoy. You guys are going to be bait. We're going to sneak Trump off because something might happen to this plane. But you guys, you're worthless motherfuckers. Stay here. What hero would take that deal? What fucking hero in any movie? You know, there's the TV series The Boys. So they're on a plane. This character Maeve, who can't fly, and Homelander, who can, and the plane's going down.
We're done here.
Please.
Everything's fine. You're okay.
Wait.
You're okay.
You're leaving us?
No. I'm just seeing something down the back.
It's a great character if you haven't seen the show. Great villain.
Oh my God, you're leaving. Homelander, are you going to save us?
Oh, sweetheart, of course I'm gonna save you. You betcha.
Little girl with fucking doll.
I'm gonna save everyone here. Don't worry about it.
Come on!
No, Maeve. No, you stay back. All of you, stay back. You stay the fuck back or I'll laser you, goddammit.
You stay the fuck back or I'm going to laser you. This is Trump. You stay the back. I got to save myself. He doesn't want to save this one person because she's going to be able to tell the story that they let everybody die, right? They don't ever save anybody. And they're arrogant, like just the way people would be if they had this power. It's a more realistic view of what would happen to people if they had superpowers. You know, these type of movies, they're TV shows, but whatever.
I'll laser every fucking one of you.
And that's Trump. Like, that's Trump, what Trump fucking did. Trump fucking was going to, you know, I mean, all you guys are going to die. And no hero would ever do that. No fucking person. Your hand of God? You're calling this guy the hand of God? He's cowering in a fucking catering truck while his friends and colleagues are going to their, you know, inevitable death, you know, because he's on the plane with them. And he's going to hide him away. What happened if that thing got missiled? And they took out 4 cabinet members and all the press, and they found out Trump was hiding and set them up for that. Like, what would happen if that happened, right? And so it's fucking defensible. But these two cunts.
Decoys in this ruse.
So they're really upset about this.
I like that. I like that part of it.
The reporters, the reporters were at risk. Well, I mean, and you know, there's a clip of him later on the plane where he's saying, you know, listen, I'm at the top of the hit list for the Iranians, and that means if this is a dangerous flight, you're on a dangerous flight too. I do think that's important for
But he wasn't on the flight. He expected them to be on the flight, them to be on Air Force One, them to be the targets, and he escaped like a little fucking cunt, like a little cowardly fucking cunt. Not a hero, not a Clint Eastwood, not a fucking Superman, not any of these people, right? None of these fucking, you know, American heroes. Andrew Jackson was in like 2 duels and like 5 gunfights when he was president. He had like stab wounds and he had like died with 5 bullets in him, right? I mean, the guy was like a fucking, you know, like a superhero. And these guys like celebrating this cowardice. I mean, he fucking got totally punked and nothing even happened. But I mean, if it had happened and this came out, that why wouldn't you on the Air Force One? Well, I fucking, you know, I got out of there because I heard there was a threat. And fuck those people, right? I mean, what did he say to like Marco Polo Rubio's family, his wife and his kids? Yeah, you know, I mean, we got a credible threat, and we decided not to tell you about it. And if he isn't going to tell those people, reporters, I mean, he hates the reporters, but still, if they're not going to tell those people and Marco Rubio and all these other people about the threat, if they're not going to, you know, and protect them, these are American citizens. These are people he's supposed to be protecting from a threat that's against him for being a fucking prick and going to a war that Americans don't fucking want. And he isn't going to tell them. He's not going to tell you. You think he's going to put you in front of him? You know, this whole idea that he is out there risking his life for you to make the country better. But the truth is, the minute there's a hint of a threat, fuck everybody else. Put them up on the plane that I'm supposed to be on and let them take the risk. Like, holy shit. And you guys are trying to defend that? I mean, imagine if Joe Biden did this. What would you be saying, you two fucking twinks? Right?
To realize that, there is a threat when you would travel abroad with the president. All right. So we'll keep playing these clips. I think it's a fascinating story, and it's a look inside what's happening. I do want to show this catering cart that apparently he was 162. This is the catering truck. An image of it
cowered in
as it's servicing Air Force One. It appears that he was led into one of these catering trucks that kind of comes.
No, he crawled in there like you had to crawl in like a little. You had to crawl in like a fucking golem. You had to crawl through this catering truck, making sure nobody close all the fucking blinds so no one can see them crawling into the fucking catering truck and cowering in the side of it as they bring it around and then bring him over to the other plane, and where he crawls back into that plane so nobody can see him fucking golem like fucking crawling in like a fucking beaten dog.
Up to the side of the vehicle or of the.
Get on your knees, Trump. You're used to it. Pretend Netanyahu's in front of you.
The plane, that is. I mean, but let's just actually, these images are fast.
Wait till Iran leaks a Lego video about this. I'm sure I'll show it in this. That's coming. I mean, it's got to be out already. Fuck, I got to look for that. Coward, you fucking coward.
Fascinating. I mean, what's April 29, 2016, looking for entertainment.
No, those fucking guys, bullshit things. Who's paying these guys to advertise? Like, there's nothing there. Nobody watches you.
Go ahead.
I mean, we should just be glad. It's so good that he did that McDonald's photo op in 2024. He was training himself up to be involved in. He's a natural. I'm sure people have tried to make fun of him, but I think President Trump, he strikes me as a natural. Be like, yep, we're gonna go ride in this catering truck. Like, he's very specifically because.
Yeah, and you guys, you ain't fucking coming. You guys go get on the fucking death plane. I'm going over here. I'm gonna go cower this fucking truck.
He's so confident in himself. He's so good at adapting to all of these different environments.
Jesus Christ, you fucking embarrassing shills. I mean, a guy can do nothing. Like, this is something that, how can you spin this fucking thing? I mean, he put these people at risk. I'm not saying he should go on the plane. I'm not saying if there's a credible risk, but don't have other people go on a plane that you think is going to get fucking whacked. You can't fucking do that. And he did it, and like you guys are celebrating it. I mean, it's such a pussy fucking move.
I find the visual very interesting and funny.
Well, the Newsweek had this story about 5 different places. Yeah, strange places Donald Trump is hidden. So,
why is he fucking cowering and hiding all the time?
In April 29, 2016, Trump hid in the Hyatt Regency near the San Francisco airport. That's 163. So that's one place he's hid.
Boy, he's hidden here. This is where, boy, one of the places he's cowered.
September 15th, 2024, Trump hid in an armored golf cart, 166. You can throw that up.
Boom, there it is, right? He's hiding in here. Look at all these other people. Like, they might catch some fucking sniper bullets. These people exposed. Nothing stopping the sniper bullets from hitting them. But this little fucking pussy's in here.
So there's the armored golf cart. In November of 2016, Trump hid in the 21 Club in Manhattan, 167. Throw that up.
Boom. He's hiding in there.
It's an old speakeasy.
Look, they got those fucking racial. Are these people singing, or is it that like little guy that they put on the lawns where some black dude is supposed to be like a racial, whatever.
By the way, May 29, 2020, Trump hid in a bunker beneath the White House, and that's 165. You can see that image.
Look at him right down here. Went down there. And they hear that there was a rat in the White House, and then Trump hid there, and they said, no, the rat has left.
It's all very fascinating to think of all the elaborate ploys that President Trump has had to engage in and the Secret Service have had to engage in to keep him alive.
Yeah, fuck you. Like, it's fake assassination attempt. And, the people that run the thing, and most people, the Democrats don't want Trump dead. They'd have nothing they're talking about. I mean, there's no real threat here. The only threat he has is Israel. He's going to get Charlie Kirked, just like your boss got. You guys will stab him in the back just like you did Charlie. And fucking, and maybe you'll take over a show. You and Blake. You can be president, and Blake can be vice president in charge of Twink. All right. So let's go see if there's a Lego video. Cater Force One. It's here already. Fucking wonderful. I mean, this is just wonderful day for me. Just hanging out. It's raining. I gotta go eat lunch pretty soon. Like, I don't even want to move. It's just still fucking dark. 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. 12:30. And so the best part of this for me is when Trump snuck back on the real Air Force One and then pretended he was on there the whole time. That was great.
Big speech, big jet. Cameras got the shot. Cater Force One.
Cater Force One.
Cater Force One. Air Force for the cameras. Food truck for the run. Cater Force One. Cater Force One. Talk like a king till the warning came through. Front door swagger, back door flight. Press on the decoy with the window shades tight. Cater Force One. Cater Force One. Whole tough guy image came undone. Boarded Air Force One for the big photo op. Wave like a king, then he made the swap. Catering truck lifted him up real clean. Drove him across the tarmac like a meal on the scene. C-32A waiting in the dark while the decoy plane took the press on the arc. They thought he was with them. Shades pulled tight, but the boss was already gone into the night.
Boom. Fucking bringing it.
One plane for the picture, one plane for the flight, one story for the public, one escape in the night.
They think they should have went in more of like, they should have put him in a diaper and had him cowering and shitting himself. You know, like, I mean, go on, you know.
Cater Force One. Cater Force One. Air Force for the cameras. Food truck for the run. Cater Force One. Cater Force One. All that tough talk till the warning came through. Front door swagger, back door flight. Decoy in the air while you slipped out of sight.
Look at the empty chair.
Cater Force One. Cater Force One. I ran, changed the rap before the night was done. Sacred defense.
Boom. All right. You know, it's okay. I mean, there needs to be more than that. You know, I like the Cater Force One, but they should have had him shitting himself. I mean, they've already gone there with a diaper, and I mean, just how much of a coward he was. Like you know, and how he left his people there to be like fucking, you know. I mean, could have been worse. You know, it could have been better, and it could have been, you know, worse in terms of, you know, they could have gone there a little bit more. Fucking boom. This is my favorite part yet. All right, so he.
Air Force One still flew out of Turkey with press and with White House officials on it. How much is
Well, this one went over to England, where it was shown to the soldiers.
Was it still at risk, even though
No, I know, but this one went over to England because the soldiers wanted to see it.
They wanted to see it, so you said, all right, you guys can take my plane. I won't fly in this fucking great plane that I got for at the cost of $1 billion, and I got 2 more coming in at a cost of $3 billion. This one's a gift from the Qataris, and we had to pay $500 million to repurpose it and make it into a Air Force One. But the soldiers said they wanted to see it, so I said, all right, you guys can see it. I mean, why should I feel comfortable in this great plane when the guy's over there? You know, what are you talking about? Like, why are you lying? We already know what fucking happened. There was a threat, and you were flying in that plane, so you got rid of that plane and went to the other plane, which was your backup Air Force One, because 2 Air Force Ones have to fly to fucking Turkey because you need 2 fucking planes, and then you had to get a 3rd one. So that's bad. He's lying about the fucking first part here. And he knows what the guy's trying to ask him, but some other bitch is going to come in and ask him the same question, and he's going to come up with a fucking retarded answer.
No, I know, but this one went over to England because the soldiers wanted to see it.
Right.
And it stopped, and they showed it to the soldiers, and we did a switch over there. And it was really as per the military, and I just have to do what they say.
Okay, so they just, the military, not Secret Service.
They go for safety, and I have to do what they say.
Why was it too dangerous for you to fly on Air Force One, but
Well,
not
I don't
too
know.
dangerous
I
for the
think
press?
actually the plane that I flew on was at greater risk.
Why
I think
do you
it was
say
at
that?
greater risk because that would be the plane I think that they would be more likely to go for.
They're more likely to go for the plane that was an Air Force One. So you're saying that the fucking the military and the Secret Service put you in the more dangerous plane? Is that what you're saying? You just do what they tell you, and that you think they put you in the more dangerous plane, and that you were actually a hero? That you were trying to fly in the plane with less people on it because you were trying to save lives and you were risking your own safety by flying in the plane. The other plane had a call signal of Air Force One. It was in terms of the air traffic control and the radar. So it was being tracked as Air Force One. And this fucking pussy plane that you were in, you were in the pussy plane that was sneaking around in the middle of the night where nobody knew about it and certainly didn't know you were in it. But that was the more dangerous plane? That's what your fucking story is, that you're the fucking hero? I was in the more dangerous plane. I was in the more dangerous plane. I was the hero after I cowered in 2 catering trucks and I shit myself in my Depends and I left all my friends and enemies in the Air Force One to die a horrible death by Iranian missile or Israeli missile or whatever the fuck you were scared of. But I was cowering in this little pussy plane, but that was actually the more dangerous plane. I'm the real hero. Like, they all went towards the fucking gunfire and I charged away from it. And I was the real hero. There was this great story. My brother, there's this cop in Newington, Connecticut, where my brother grew up, and my family lived there, and they moved when I was 2. But like I went back there where my brother lived, and my brother knew the whole town. He was like basketball star, and like he just he was people knew him in this place, and he knew everybody. And there was a cop there that he had all these stories about, and this cop. There was a robbery at a liquor store, and the cop took where he was. They knew where he was when we took the call, and he went out of his way to avoid going towards the fucking robbery. And he was driving, like, circumventing so he wouldn't have to, get involved in some gunfight or something like this because he's a total loser cop, right? Total fucking pussy. And the robbers run into him. And the robbers run into him, and the other cops are chasing him, and like fucking they arrest him, and he gets a award, like he was a hero. And that's what Trump is like here. I was in the more dangerous plane. This is fucking 10 stars, bro. Like, this can't get any better. Okay, let's move to this. So this is Stephanie White, who coaches the Indiana Fever basketball team. There was a hard foul on Sophie Cunningham, who came out against trans women in sports with girls, with females, biological males with females, that thing. And then she got a hard foul. And, the funny thing about this is she was fouled by a lesbian who, I don't know why the lesbians and the feminists don't see that trans men are going to take away, like trans women are going to be better than them in sports and other things. They're actually enemies. Like, trans women aren't a problem for me. Like, they're not going to affect me at all. Most of the gay community isn't going to affect me at all. There's very few communities that will affect me, but, in terms of my demographics, right? Like, if you're a heterosexual man, trans women are pretty much not going to affect you. Unless they flirt with you or some shit like that. But for the most part, like, you're not going to be a 12-year-old girl in a bathroom with a 6'5" dude in a dress, right? And so, you're not going to lose out on a job or the first woman president being a man. Like, if Caitlyn Jenner won presidency, that would be amazing because of the feminists and and I don't have any problems with lesbians. Like, I had lesbian bosses. Like, I'm not, they were good bosses. Like, they were, good to work for. I mean, no issues. I've had no bad experiences. I don't care about any of this stuff. But it's funny to me when people don't get, like, what they're fighting against. And if you're a WNBA player, you don't want biological men playing in your fucking sport because they're going to be better than you. They're going to be physically superior to you, right? Then you're going to lose your spot. And it's going to be all biological men in WNBA. And they're not getting their shit straight here. And they can't because, like, the Sophie Cunninghams and the Caitlin Clarks, who are white women, I think they're both heterosexual, and they are maybe conservative. They grew up in conservative, at least I don't know. Caitlin Clark played for Iowa. She has a lot of conservative fans. And so they represent the MAGA people. Think about them. And then there's the other side that's jealous of that Caitlin Clark's popularity. Caitlin Clark is a flopper on top of it. And so this is everything you would expect from it's like, Desperate Housewives, which may drive the WNBA success because people love drama. If they can turn this into, Housewives show. I mean, Bill Burr did a comedy special on how they're always telling men, why don't you watch the WNBA? He goes, well, why don't you get women to watch it? They'll watch the fucking Kardashians. But if you turn this into the Kardashians, then maybe you got a chance of, really make it about drama. And so the coach didn't back the player, so the fans booed her. And I don't cover the WNBA because I don't like watching videos on the WNBA, because as soon as you do it, they will recommend endless videos on the WNBA for months. Like I hesitated. There's a sports guy talking about this. And I wanted to see the press conference, and I'm like, where am I going to watch it? Do I have to open up one of my rarely used YouTube channels so the algorithm doesn't fuck up my whole feed, right? Because they love to push the WNBA, even though, it's like horrible. But this is her after fucking eating shit, and it's a wonderful moment here.
No, I'm going to start today. This isn't necessarily for those people that are in this room. This is more for an online community that's trying to create narratives that simply don't exist.
Are they? Is that what? So you're blaming conspiracy theorists for this? She's blaming conspiracy theorists because she came out and praised the player, her former player, that knocked out one of her players, hit her in the face and caused her mouth to bleed because of, social issues that are going on. And then her former player who hit her current player, Dejanay Carrington, tweeted white privilege, which was like a firestorm against all this stuff, right? The kind of stuff that shows up on Megyn Kelly, right? That shows up in Fox News. And so, like feeding the flames. I mean, if it's intentional to make this sucky sport, because it's horrible, the basketball is horrible, but to make it pop like WWE shit, all for it, go for it, right? But if it's unintentional and you guys just suck, But she's blaming the online community.
Trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about.
What are you about?
Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me.
It is. It's your top priority.
Things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. There's a guy. He hates Stephen A. Smith, and he's covering this. His name is Jason Whitlock, and he's kind of a truther. He seems a little bit right wing, and he's. I've listened to him from time to time. This is how I found out about this. So he debunks it here. So here's the foul, right? Where she was a flagrant 2, she got kicked out, but then said the foul was correct because you can't hit somebody in the head in basketball anymore. It used to, good old days. But this is the coach watching it, and she said she didn't see it live, right? But she's watching it. Here she is, and when it happened here, like this happens here, and there's the coach there walking towards it. She's going back a sec here. Here's a foul coming up, right? She hits her in the head. It's clearly intentional. Like, shouldn't be big a deal, but they're a lot of, very uncoordinated. But as she's getting up here, here's the coach, right? And so, and the coach heads right to the players. Walks by the girl that got hit and heads to her former player, and then the ref stops her. So she saw it. She knew what happened. She left the bench and is going, to yell at her former player or whatever it is. But then she comes out and defends her. because the WNBA wanted to pretend that this isn't like some kind of bizarre heterosexual versus LGBTQ racial war, right or left shit that's going down in a fucking league that finally has some people interested in it, but it's more because of the drama than anything else, right? And so the coach is lying. She saw the whole thing. She reacted to it, and then came out and did this press conference where she defends the girl that hit her player. Anyways, let's go back to it. But none of that would be worth me covering it. Like none of this, like I was just watching a little bit while I did I do my legs up and I look for a video. And I scroll down. There wasn't shit on sports today. And, they always recommend sports. Like I don't get truth or things. I can go through Twitter, but, I like a video that's more than 5 minutes because I put anyway, that's neither here nor there. But there's some shit coming here, jokes I want to make. That's why you're seeing this.
Those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went
Well, that's been true. That's bullshit.
straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely.
Egregious. It's egregious.
When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that.
You can see it's egregious.
I didn't have that in real time.
She didn't have it in real time. She didn't. Even though, was that your twin out there? Do you have like a body double that was?
Were there any
I take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time.
10 toes down. And where's your dick? Is it up or is it? That's one of the reasons I wanted to make that joke. If your toes are down, what's your dick doing?
All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing.
Yeah, because that's never the case in the WNBA.
Because they are fucking playing.
They are fucking playing.
The reality is, with me, I will always lead with love. I will always lead with grace. I will always lead with humility. And I will always lead with integrity. Doesn't mean I'll always get it right.
No, sometimes they get it wrong. Like this case.
I'm also human.
You are? Okay.
The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win.
You mad, bro? I wanted to make that joke too. I was waiting for it.
It won't win. We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided.
Wait, are you saying they will not divide us?
He will never divide us. He will not divide us. Must ensure the existence of the white people. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us.
He will not divide us. Exactly. They won't divide you. When I heard her say that, and I just played the Shia LaBeouf thing like 2 videos ago, I'm like, kaboom.
We will not be divided.
We won't.
Every day these women put their on the line.
Their ass is on the line.
Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win.
Boom. How many bumper stickers can you recite in 2 minutes?
Grace will win.
Grace will win.
Humility will win.
Humility will win.
And kindness will win.
Kindness will win, especially when there's a fucking foul like that.
I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
Boom. She's pissed. Fucking dude. All right. Everyone else can go to hell. Fuck the grace that I was talking about. Grace will win. Everyone else can go to hell. It's the conspiracy theorists' fault. It's everyone else on the internet who's fucking making up these narratives that, are obviously there in real time. The big problem was the girl who did it saying white privilege. And I think she was saying that they're getting special treatment. The 2 girls, the white girls on Indiana. Which, in a way is happening, but kind of a way not, and everyone in the league hates them. I mean, all the, so there's a whole thing. But at the bottom line is, this is all they got. Like, fucking basketball sucks. It's almost impossible to watch. It's not as good as high school boys basketball. In fact, there was somebody paying like $1 million for an WNBA team to play some high school team. If they win, they get the money, right? And there are no takers. Holy shit. So this was a speech that Erica Kirk, her last speech, 2026, CLS, youth organization thing. And I don't know how I didn't see this clip or they didn't play it. So it's not this clip. Let's watch this first. And I'll bring you over to the one I just saw.
Who are you? I knew him. I knew him very well and his family. I didn't look at our COO, Justin, and was like, all right, I need to step back and we need to reassess these processes. Don't do that event. I don't even know what this is. Don't do it. No. I said, you all know what you need to be doing. Full steam ahead. You have your marching orders, and we are going to get through this, and we are going to make Charlie so damn proud.
Okay, so she should give the finger right there. She kind of does. She kind of does give the finger. Is it to Charlie? Watch. They cut away, but she was giving the finger there. Okay, so there she goes, making Charlie so damn proud. There's the finger. Scratches her nose and whatever. She hates Charlie. Hates the memory of him, hates him when he was alive, whatever. But, here. So, this is the part that I saw on Twitter. By the way, I got a fucking warning on my phone, made this weird-ass noise. Like, what the fuck is that, right? Are they is Mossad trying to blow up my phone? And so I looked at my phone and it said there was a flash flood warning until 5, whatever, don't go outside and travel. We live in a place where there's a lot of swamp. Sometimes they take land that's, near a city and they're like, well, this, they're building out, and as they do it, we have to fucking make use of the swamps. A lot of American homes are built in swamp areas. And our pasture floods every year, and, this whole thing. But anyways, speaking of swamp.
There will be some of you who are going to be amazing to have you sit underneath that tent in the quad and take on every single question in a very respectful manner, and to be able to change people's minds and to impact their hearts. There will be some of you in this room, and you guys will be the ones that are speaking to your own generation. That is way more important than throwing some man on campus that has no connection to you guys. You want to hear...
You mean she just took a giant shit on Charlie. And so she took a giant shit on Charlie's whole thing, right? Like, holy shit. I mean, unbelievable. Some fucking man in a suit. He's talking about Charlie. That's what Charlie did.
There will be some of you in this room, and you guys will be the ones that are speaking to your own generation. That is way more important than throwing some man on campus that has no connection to you guys. You want to hear from your peers. I know that. I see that.
Yeah, but that's what Charlie's thing was. He was a fucking grown-ass man who had, skills, and he was sitting there holding court, a microphone and a platform, and he was able to talk down at college kids, not all of them. Once in a while he'd get out-debated or whatever, but they wouldn't show you those clips. And then, you had a fucking couple $100 million from Israel, and they, made something of this thing, and now you got rid of him, and you guys have fucking dick, right? And you have one. So that's absolutely spectacular. Okay, there's another Erica Kirk thing coming where she promotes porn as a younger person. But I just want to say this. It's a fucked up thing to murder your husband or your wife in a way where it's done like professionally like this, whatever happened with Charlie Kirk. The first suspects when someone's murdered is husband, wife, whatever it might be, someone close to the person. It's usually somebody who knows the person. And if it's a husband and wife, it would be a crime of passion, more than likely. They get into a heated fight, people who are not in the right minds, maybe drugs or alcohol involved, some kind of thing. Just people on the edge, stressed out, whatever. And that's understandable. But to plot something to do it and then come out and pretend you're grieving and like very calculated. You know, this would be specifically for women. I mean, men could do this, but women even more so because just the nature of a woman's heart and, you know, more predisposed to love and relationships and all these things. And that, you know, again, if it was an abusive situation, something like that, but where you're just going to whack your husband and you know, people come to you like, we want to whack your husband and we want to give you the company. You're like, yeah, sounds good. I think I'm good at grieving. I think I'm really good at grieving. I'm excellent griever, right? It's just really fucked up. So the person posted this.
Way more important than throwing some man on campus that has no connection to you guys.
Can you say that again? Just the way you said it. Just the same way.
So so that was, I'm like, hopefully, I was looking for a better version, so I had to go find the full speech, and I wanted to see if it was okay. And they got Mr. T. And they got this guy. It's official. She's losing it. Then this, all these memes people put to it. This is the memes underneath the thing here. Look here.
I'm here to see the widow.
There she, there she is. And, you know, people commenting on it. But then all the memes. I was voted class clown. And so,
back on some of the overreaches, whether it's, you know, whether they're winning or losing the.
All right, and there she is. All right, so, holy shit. Like, she's just horrible. I mean, that's taking a shit on his, like, that's Charlie's signature thing was to be a grown-ass man who didn't have a connection, didn't go to college himself, was against college, didn't think college was a good thing, think it was a waste of time and money. And he would go on these campuses and didn't have much in terms of political common ground. Many of these kids were atheist liberals, and he would, you know, talk them down, and especially about Israel. And then fucking, you know, she's shit all over that, right? Wonderful, 5 stars. This is one of my favorite videos in terms of just the fun stuff. This one.
At the dinner you put on in Trump 2028, are you serious about seeking a third term?
Everybody asked me that question, and you.
Everybody is. You
know that the law is very strong on that. I'd love to run, but the law is very strong. I get asked by well, even tonight they're screaming at the event, 2028. No, everybody wants me to do it, but the law is very strong.
Okay, are you talking about the law of nature? Because if you're around in 2028, you're going to be a fucking basket case. You're losing your shit, right? And there's zero chance of you winning. Like, you would not win. I mean, you know, even if he was able to circumvent the law and would create a constitutional crisis. But, you know, like, you almost have to run. Like, it's just, I mean, they're going to go after him, like, even after the midterms, but even after that. You know, I mean, I don't think he's going to last. I think he's just deteriorating. And it's going to be weird life without Trump. Like, it's going to be totally different. We're so used to this. Trump is such a big part of everybody's lives, whether they love him, hate him, any of these things, whether they're not even aware of it. He's just everywhere. And, you know, it's like, it's never going to, you're not going to have any other person like Trump. I mean, you know, there's going to be probably bigger fish to fry, like, you know, collapsing economies, World War III, I mean, who knows what. But, you know, in terms of, like, just how the social system is now and Trump, you know, there's going to be a huge void. Like, the news is barely watchable right now. But the stuff that is watchable is, like, the Trump stuff. You know, like, it's just so fucking unique. I mean, it's just bigger than life. How corrupt he is, how fucking much of a piece of shit he is, his lying. I mean, it's like, it's going to be boring as fuck without Trump. Politics will. And that's good because politics suck, but, you know, that's the inevitability. Okay, so Marco Rubio, holy shit. He's here with his wife, and I don't know if this person might be Cuban, because I think Marco Rubio is. And so I don't know what this is. This is an hour-long interview, apparently. I saw a few clips of it. I'll show you 2 of them. So first he's talking about Tupac going to this special school in Baltimore. Now when Jesse Smollett got outed and busted, he said he fought back against those imaginary people that that whole bullshit thing that happened to him, he made happen to himself. And he said to an audience, "I fought back. I'm like the gay Tupac." And I showed that clip, and somebody else said, "No, Tupac was the gay Tupac," and showed me a few clips of Tupac when he was in high school. It was very effeminate and seemed kind of gayish, right? And Marco Rubio loves him. He's talking about him here.
Person, primarily because I think he was a narrator more than anything else of a certain point of view and lifestyle, or upbringing and worldview. So I think of all time, he's probably my favorite. There's a lot of other very talented people, but
Have you ever thought about your own rap name?
me?
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
Have you ever considered Lil Marco?
What?
That's what they call him in the Iran videos, and what Trump used to call him. What?
Have you ever considered Lil Marco?
Little Marco, little Marco.
No, I haven't. I haven't thought about. I mean, I wouldn't be a good rapper, maybe, but I probably could be a good producer in terms of like identifying talent and so forth. But I don't know, maybe not.
Well, with those ears, with those supersonic ears, how's your wife feel about Trump leaving you on the fucking cart? I'm leaving you on the plane while he skipped out of the plane in a fucking cart. Jesus Christ. All right. So then there was another thing he did here.
My nephew was visiting us here yesterday, and he wanted to watch Jaws. I said, I have an even better movie than Jaws. Jaws is boring.
Oh my gosh, it
Sharknado.
was such a ridiculous movie.
Sharknado.
Such a ridiculous. Who puts that for kids?
Hurricane brings the shark to the
shore.
It
was awful.
There's a Sharknado, I think.
It was awful. Was Sharknado awful? Was Sharknado not what you thought it was going to be? Sharks in a tornado. Was that a bad movie? Marco Polo, his wife. Is she Polo? So Polo, Marco and Polo. Polo, you didn't like that fucking movie? You didn't like shark movies?
Puts that tornado.
for kids.
Hurricane brings the shark to the shore.
It was awful.
It was awful. Thanks, Polo.
There's a Sharknado, I think it's number 3, that's in Washington, D.C. And the sharks are in the White House, and there's a president that's shooting at them and all that, and which all sounds crazy, but now you could see. Actually, there's a scene where the sharks are in the reflecting pool in the Sharknado movie, and this is 10 years.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Did Trump try to get him arrested for damaging the fucking reflecting pool with their sharp poop, right?
So I'm like, man, I got to show this to the president. We might have a feature here for people. And
what? Getting sharks out of the reflecting pool? It's fucking salt water. I mean, but guess if they're in a tornado.
Can you imagine we put sharks in the reflecting pool?
Oh, this is crazy. I couldn't imagine that. Look at these fucking simpletons. Look at this mental fucking midget here. Fucking Jesus Christ. Look at her laughing.
Anyway.
Like, how is this?
This whole thing's off the rails. You're not going to be even air this thing.
You're not going to be able to air this thing. Why? Because you'd be embarrassed? You think Sharknado, given what's on the internet, you being stupid about being retarded about a shark in the reflecting pool? Like, holy fuck. Look at these fucking mental midgets. Jesus Christ. What the fuck is going on, right? Like, just stop. I mean, you're supposed to be like the sane one. You're supposed to be like is it Maryland? Like the Munsters had like one normal person named Marilyn, and they always talked about she was some, blonde model-esque type girl, and like she was like the normal one, and they all talked about how ugly she was all the time. She would bring home like real people to their house, and like she was oblivious to her dad having bolts coming out of his fucking head. Like you were supposed to be the Maryland fucking Rubio. You're supposed to be the one normal one there, and you're like a total fucking tool. Jesus Christ. Okay, so again, I'm editing this the next day here. So I had time to reflect on this, and I talked about this with my wife. I was telling her about this because I usually send her Twitter stuff. We send each other stuff, but I X'd out of this. But this is so fucked up, right? Like, he's really excited about Sharknado. Like these stupid movies, Snakes on a Plane, Cocaine Bear, you know, these kind of things. You know, that are good meme wise, and people like the idea of it, but it's never gonna fucking deliver, right? You know, like, I mean, it's just against, like, you're taking an animal. I mean, you know, an animal could easily eat cocaine if there's some cocaine available, right? And I guess that's based on this true story. And I'm sure there's been some snakes that made it on a plane. But whenever they're animals are in movies and TV shows, like, I know about animals. Like, I know probably more about animals than anything. Like, I've watched videos and read about them when I was a kid, and you know, I know what animals live where in the world and what they behave, and you know, when you see things that are like where the animal's out of character, and like, you know, there's like ideas of piranha, like if you go swimming, the piranha just devour you, and piranhas are very I had a piranha, like you know, one of my friends was leaving college and moving, you know, away, and he had a piranha and an Oscar, and he brought him to me because, you know, I was somewhat stable and had an apartment. And I don't even know what happened to those fish. Like, I had them a long time. And piranhas are pretty vicious, and they've got crazy teeth, but they're very shy in different ways. Like, you know, there's just a lot of these, you know, there's these ideas that people have about certain things, and then there's some things that are just against the laws of physics. And Sharknado is one of those things, right? It was a stupid idea. And, you know, a tornado is so much more dangerous than a shark. A tornado is fucking crazy dangerous. Like, of the two things, like, you don't need sharks when you have a tornado. But whatever. Like, it's a silly idea, goofy fucking movie. It's going to be a C-level, you know, really stupid movie. And he's like fucking not even talking about Sharknado. He's talking about Sharknado 3. That means he's watched 3 versions of these, and he likes this one the best because some of the sharks end up in the fucking reflecting pond. So, Jesus fucking Christ, right? Like, this is your, you know, Secretary of State, and he's having this interview, and his wife's like, "Oh, that movie's so stupid." Like, you know, like, I mean, like, if you had had any hope at all, like, you know, when these people are out there and they're lying and they're bullshitting and they're doing whatever they're doing and just, you know, being pieces of shit, and you know, all this stuff is just deceptive and lie, and you say, all right, there's stupidity there and all that. But when they let their hair down and they're like, I showed my nephew Sharknado. You want to watch Jaws? And I'm like, fuck Jaws. We're watching Sharknado. And then his wife like, oh my God, that's a horrible, like, fucking, like, this is what their life, this is what these people think about. Like, if you were talking to these people at a party, you'd be like, holy shit. Like, you know, let's do another 10 minutes on Sharknado. Like, Jesus Christ. You think that's worth talking about? Like, it's embarrassing, right? Like, if you're going to talk about Sharknado, you're like, I like making fun of it. I watch it and we laugh and we make fun of it, right? Like, something that stupid. Like, there's programming I'll watch because it's stupid. Reality TV shows, my wife and I will make jokes about the people, you know, whatever. And, you know, like, that's a totally different thing. But if you're, oh my God, Sharknado was so good, right? But Sharknado 3, you're talking about not the original. Like, they get worse each time. Like, Sharknado 2 is going to be worse than Sharknado 3. And Sharknado 3, I mean, Jaws 3D is, you know, Jaws was one of the top movies that year. I saw it at the movie theater, right? You know, it affected me going into fucking water. Like, you know, I mean, it was, yeah, whatever it was. But Jaws 3D, which I also think I saw at the movie theater, was one of the worst movies. Like, it was just so bad. Like, you know, by the time you get to the third movie, it's just a fucking money grab. And everybody that was, like, talented, every actor, every director, every person that was A-list or, you know, good at, you know, at least had some self-respect is gone. And now they're just fucking whores, right? Like, Sharknado 3, you're taking a bad idea and just whoring it out. And Marco Rubio's like, no, I'm fucking Sharknado 3. All right, let's go through a series of Trump memes. Kaboom. They just keep on coming. This one, you know, this is what I was talking about. Fight, fight, fight. I've already made this link and whatever it is. You know, all these dumb fucks who, or pieces of shit that wouldn't, you know, question this when it happened now. Of course, you know. Once you have obliterated your enemy, show strength by hiding in the food. Loud foo. Loud fool. What's wrong with my mouse is gone here? I have to go with my loud fool. My regular mouse is gone. I gotta use my Taco Force 1. Kind of a good one. If Trump had been on the Titanic, he'd be the guy running around looking for women's clothing to wear. And this final one. These guys all disgusted here. These iconic presidents. And Trump sucking his thumb and being a little turd. All right. It wasn't United, though, was it? Anyway. Get more accurate AI. It's just an absolute fucking disgrace at this point. Okay. Today is Thursday, whatever date it was. Not yesterday, but today. 13th. It's Thursday the 13th of August. 2026. All right, so there was a story which I'm not going to show you anything about, but the Los Angeles Lakers were bought by this guy, Mark Walter. He was an insurance guy, and he had recently purchased the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then he bought the Lakers. I'm not sure how he spent maybe a couple bill on the Dodgers, maybe more, I don't know. And then he spent $10 billion on the Lakers, leaving the Buss family. The Buss family was the brokest family, the brokest owners of any team, even though the Lakers are a prestigious franchise. The Jerry Buss, he didn't have other money. He didn't have other businesses. He had the Lakers. And, he kind of turned the Lakers around, and he had 4 shitty sons and 1, reasonable daughter. He was there was a good show about it. My wife and I were watching the show Clipped, about how the Los Angeles Clippers were run into the ground by that previous owner, and now they have their own secondary problems. But Steve Ballmer is a good example, a guy worth $20 billion or more. People who are rich on their own, and then they buy a sports franchise, and they have plenty of money. And so the Lakers sold to this guy Walter, who might have brought in some Saudi money, $10 billion. It was a crazy amount of money for a sports franchise. And he is being investigated by the federal government, and he had a stroke. So in 10 months, he turns around and sells the Lakers again to this guy, Bob Iger, who's the Disney fuck. He used to be the CEO of Disney. And Jared Kushner's brother, who is very, keen to tell people he's not like his brother. He didn't vote for Trump and all that shit. But Trump did pardon his dad twice. So they bought it for $12.5 billion. So that's a $2.5 billion kind of thing that happened. Turnaround in 10 months. The guy flipped the team for $2.5 billion, which is crazy. And some of that is the NBA growing in value. But the NBA was, if you go back and watch that great ABA documentary on Amazon that people were interested in, that kind of thing, which I really enjoyed because it happened right before I found interest in sports and basketball. I guess I had some interest anyway, but the ABA and the NBA were almost out of business. They were just shitty. The ABA was very Bush League. There's a Will Ferrell film about it, which is kind of funny. It's good. There's good bits in it. But the ABA was very sketchy. And the NBA wasn't very popular. It was the third most popular sport, far beyond what was happening with the football, which was growing, and baseball. And now the NBA is this global sport. Of course, basketball is much easier to play by yourself if you just want to shoot, and in small countries. And there's these small countries, many of them European countries that, like where Nikola Jokic is from and Luka Doncic. In these countries where they just play basketball, and that's their big sport, right? And it's become a global sport. But the fact that the franchise is worth $12.5 billion, there's this movie called Rollerball, and corporations own the world. And Rollerball was set up that each country there's parity. That these rollerball clubs were meant that to substitute for war. It was a game played on with roller skates, with motorcycles and spikes and fucking spiked gloves, and they would punch each other. You know, speaking of spiked gloves, the Trump administration is now giving ICE electric gloves that will give you an electric shock. And you know they put their hands on you, these ICE agents, and you immediately submit because you've got fucking. It's like you got tasers in your gloves, and if you can't put there can only be 2 gloves on a person at a time, because 4 gloves you're fucking dead, right? Like it's like that kind of thing. So you know we got this futuristic shit going on. But anyways, this rollerball, you know, represented a time where corporations run the world. Of course, remember with the Alien series, there's a corporation, I forget the name of it. Don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. Where the corporation is trying to harvest these aliens to, you know, the alien insect-like things, to use as a weapon. And, you know, they have an army. Like, they have a whole, you know, I mean, these corporations become like governments, right? Which is, you know, what's end up going to happen. They don't owe no allegiance to any country. They can move around, you know, in a global economy and set up wherever they see fit. And then if, you know, you piss off the corporation, they just move somewhere else and your area's fucked and, like, you know, this thing. But it shows you the inflation and how, like, $12 billion for a sports franchise. Remember, there was a time where Facebook went public for, like, a bill. Like, Facebook was evaluated at $1 billion, and it was like a crazy time, you know. I think it was right when they went public. You know, now you think about, like, you know, these just the sports franchises were 12, right? So, anyway. So, shit's getting real. Like, real apocalyptic. And so, Caroline Leavitt.
President Trump now needs to find a new press secretary. Caroline Leavitt has announced that she is leaving the White House and her role at the end of this month. I think a key question is, why now, particularly just 3 months out from the midterm elections? Caroline and both the president.
So here's what Trump said. Our wonderful White House press secretary and one of the most trusted aides, Caroline Leavitt, will be departing her role at the end of the month. So you can spend more time with her beautiful young children and family, a decision totally understandable. I could totally understand and respect. Caroline will now be one of the top outside advisors and influential voice within the Republican Party as we work to defy history and conclusively win the midterm elections. Caroline has been a real leader in the White House and has done a phenomenal job fighting for justice, liberty, and freedom since 2018. Including our historic re-election campaign of 2024. Caroline's been one of the best White House press secretaries in the history of the office. Thank you, Caroline, for your job. Well done, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so, well, let's listen to this here.
Say it's so that she can focus on her family. I'd remind you, Leavitt actually had a baby, a daughter, on May 1st and took only about a month of maternity leave before coming back to the White House. Throughout the course of my reporting, I've learned that President Trump had actually called her frequently and often asked when she was coming back.
Frequently, probably twice a day, right? Like fucking how Trump is obsessive, you know. But hey, enough of that fucking baby. I need attention, right? Like, she had maternity leave for a month. A fucking month, right? Like, you have these European countries where they get, like, maternity leave for a year. Maternity leave is a major thing. And, you know, almost can be a part of, like, you know, for, I mean, when I was working in these treatment centers, and, you know, 3 weeks with a newborn baby, and then you're back out. Like, it's just, you need more time. Like, you need, you know, it's just crazy that you can, you know, you have to go back to work when there's a newborn baby around. You know, my last, you know, child, my son, was born. It was a home birth. I delivered him, and it was like, then I had to go back to this fucking treatment center, which was, you know, working with teenage sex offenders in a corrupt fucking place. And it was like, you know, you get into this kind of, you know, it's a big thing when you have a baby, especially for the mom, obviously. And so, you know, it's fucked. And he, you know, Trump was calling her, like, frequently, which for Trump was probably obsessively. When you coming back? You know, leave that fucking baby alone. You know, like this, you know, Trump's fucking sophist. So there's a great meme I saw last night where, you know, just after the news broke that Caroline Levitt was left for dead on this decoy plane, she's quitting. You know, her husband's like, get out of there, fucking guy, fucking used you guys as bait, right? Like it's, anyhow.
To get back behind that podium. So this is a very demanding job. It's also a very important job and one that the president has fixed.
Yeah, you go up there and you lie for the president, and every person who does it, they get fucked up. You look at Jen Psaki and these people, had to cover up for Joe Biden's senility. I mean, they just go out, they have to find ways to spin everything as positive. And they're kind of at war with the press, like it's just this back and forth. And, oftentimes they don't have all the information. So they're like in a bad position, and they're trying to, they come out and they get caught fucking lying, and she was just lying all the time. I mean, she was there to defend Trump, who was indefensible.
Fixated on who should be the one to represent him as his chief messenger. So it's going to be a tough role for him to fill. I'd also note that Levitt is part of a very small and loyal group of advisors, the type of people in the West Wing who are often part of the most sensitive conversations about the president and with the president, and also someone that he actually trusts and listens to. She both worked on his 2024 presidential campaign, but also worked for him back during his first term. Levitt said the president has asked to continue serving as a top advisor to him, even though it'll be on the outside. I did catch up with some staffers on Wednesday afternoon, and they said it's unclear who's actually going to replace her. So a big question about who will fill her shoes.
Yeah, like those are big shoes to fill. But I have then there was this other meme here. It's Marco Rubio. Like, the best thing about the internet for me, the things that, I laugh at, but it's also inspirational. Like it's how clever people are, right? Like I enjoy clever and, whatever else you want to call memes. And also how like there could be so much truth in a meme. Like this is great. Like that's a fucking great meme. Now with AI, memes are the best part. But like for me, like I'll miss when the internet goes or whatever technology goes. I'll miss memes. Like memes have become, a joyful thing for me. And it's, there's a lot there. Like it's inspirational for human beings. Like there's, that human beings like have this, it shows ability to adapt. I mean, this was like, it didn't take long, hours after this story broke, these memes were already coming out. Just like with this other thing, because there's other memes here. Fight, fight, fight. Like, that's a spectacular meme. These things happened last night. A young Erica Kirk.
I have respect for the individuals that are in the pornography industry, not because they're degrading women or anything like that, but because that's their field and they are professionals. So I give them credit for being able to have a job and make money and stimulate the economy that way. We live in a free country, so if you want to watch it, turn on your pay-per-view.
Turn on your pay-per-view. Like, what are you fucking, an ad for fucking pornography? What is this? Like, why would you be even commenting? This is, she said a lot of fucked up shit. So the first part about this is that women who do pornography either enjoy it, like it's a good job for them, right? They either enjoy it or they're being human trafficked. They're prostitutes that have been pimped out, would have been pimped, and what I mean by that is runaway girls, women who were tricked into being prostitutes some way, some pimp who, manipulates them and human traffics them. There's a whole way that pimps have of grooming women and turning them into prostitutes, and it's the same thing for porn stars, and often on drugs. There was a woman named Linda Lovelace was in a porn movie called Deep Throat. This was back when I was a kid. Like, this was a famous porn movie. Like, I knew about it as a kid. And she came out and said that they had, like, gun to her head, right? Like, she was, she's a Christian now. Like, a lot of these porn stars become Christian. They have some kind of, they escape or they get too old and they age out of the business and they're no longer viable. And then they just get cast out and thrown away. And they, then oftentimes they're drug addicted. So, this idea that these are, like, good jobs. I mean, like maybe being a porn star is a better job than a lot of shit jobs out there, right? Trump was talking about mines. I lost that. I got to find that meme. He was talking about miners and, Hillary Clinton or something. You know, but they're bad jobs. Like, you know, being in a mine is a bad job. Like, there's horrible jobs out there. And I can't say, you know, what job being a porn star would be better than. But, you know, it's exploitive to women. It's like degrading women. The women who are doing it, right? Like, you know, and to whatever extent the men. I mean, it's a gross industry. And she's saying that they're stimulating the fucking economy. What are you talking about? They're stimulating something, but it isn't the economy. Like, you know, porn could be removed from our system and it wouldn't be some big economic hit. Right? Like, you know, it's like, you know, I mean, what are you talking about here? But this thing at the end of it, you know.
Or being able to have a job and make money and stimulate the economy that way. We live in a free country, so if you want to watch it, turn on your pay-per-view.
Turn on your pay-per-view? What are you fucking talking about? Turn on your pay-per-view. Like, well, I mean, you're giving people permission to watch porn? Like, what the fuck kind of Christian are you? And, you know, porn does devastating things to people. You know, like it ruins relationships. I mean, it's a form of addiction, sexual addiction. I mean, you know, there's this great thing called the Great Porn Experiment by Gary Wilson. It's a TED Talk. It's probably about 15 years old now. And, you know, there's a movie called Men, Women, and Children, which is about this too. And it just devastates people. Like, they have to go to rehab because they're addicted to porn. Like, you guys probably all know. Like, so it's, you know, I mean, it isn't like it's some harmless thing. And it just, you know, degrades relationships. I mean, it's a bad thing. And, like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is, you know, like, you just, what? Like, you know, like, what kind of person is this? Like, it's just, I mean, it's the way that she's such a Christian. Is this Shabbat Shalom? Like, fuck you doing here? Like, this is like beta kitten stuff. Like, she's some kind of, you know, and she's, you know, she does CIA videos. I mean, there's so much tape out there of her. Like, so many different, like, things that she tried to do. She was trying to pop on the internet. She did all these different things. She had various shows, you know, interviewing people on the street. You know, she was trying to be out there. She was on reality TV. Like, she kept on trying to pop. And, you know, and then eventually she married into this weird fucking thing. And she's, you know, complicit in whacking her husband and taking over this business. And she's just fucking weird. She's so fucking weird. Okay, so, you know, not great, but this is an AI dramatization.
You left us on that plane! Mr. President, you knew there was a threat and you didn't tell us?
Previously.
Wind up those windows. Everybody relax. Enjoy the flight. I'll see you soon.
There he goes, sneaking in.
Perfect. Nobody knows.
Trump, we know you're in there. Come out! Mr. President, the flight has landed. You can stop hiding now.
Get. Okay. What's all this noise?
What's all this noise? You left us on that plane, Mr.
Marco Rubio's too tall in this thing.
President, you knew there was a threat and you didn't tell us? What if something had happened to Air Force One?
Listen, gentlemen, I had a plan. The plan? You told us to relax and enjoy the flight.
Exactly. And you were relaxed, weren't you? We were relaxed because we thought you were on the plane. If I told everyone to follow me to the C-32A, everybody would follow me. Then the whole operation would be obvious. So your solution was to turn yourself into airport catering?
Very smart catering, very presidential catering. But
Jesus Christ, so this is not the best AI thing, but...
Why did you leave us behind? Because somebody had to distract them. We were the distraction? Look at the bright side. You got a free flight. And you got a free ride in a food truck.
Yeah, but let's not talk about the smell.
All right. This is share and follow for more. You know, this kid laughing. It's just such a fucked up thing. I'm going to talk about it more. Like, it's just such a big deal. I'll do it in the voiceover at the end of this thing. So I slept to 9 o'clock again today, 2 days in a row. Like, I usually get up between 7 and 8. Like, 8:30 would be a late, you know. And that would usually mean a dark day, rainy. It was foggy today as well. You know, we've switched over to linen sheets, which are supposed to have the best vibration. Which, you know, they're a little bit rougher than other things that we've had. But really, like, doesn't bother me at all. And I switched my pillow over to it, and I'm going to start wearing shorts. My daily shorts I got linen shorts on now. I was worried about the chemicals. We had bamboo stuff, which is kind of silky, but it's, but anyways, so there's that. I don't know if that has something to do with it, as well as the rain. There's a thing in the fall where I just get really tired because of the season switching over, but it's clearly not the fall yet, but it's coming. All right, so there's this thing as well here.
What are your questions that you have upon learning of this?
Well, my first question to those who are on.
So this is people on to Secret Flight. Natalie Harp, that's the woman who changes his diaper, and it's a long flight, so he's going to probably need a couple of diaper changes, so she has to be there. Well, fuck. Dan Shavino, I'm not sure what he does. Walt Nauta, and Pete Hegseth, who, is probably his worst secretary, but there is a war going on, so.
Well, my first question to those who are on the leave behind decoy plane would be, do you realize the president isn't that into you? So if you were Secretary Rubio or...
This guy is Chris Coons from Delaware, and he's, a senator.
Or Secretary Bessent or Scott Miller, how do they feel about having been left as...
Not Scott Miller, bro. Stephen Miller.
Decoys. More importantly, and more seriously, the press who accompany the president should not have been put on a plane where there was any serious risk of a shoulder-fired surface-to-air missile taking that plane down. I understand putting a priority on the president's security, but frankly, this was just a despicable incident of disrespect for the press and for members of his own cabinet. They should have been allowed to disembark and to fly.
All right, so let me switch over to voiceover here. So when I worked in treatment centers, I worked in 2 treatment centers. I worked in one where I was just a counselor. I was getting my bachelor degree in human services. And then after I got my master's degree, I was a clinician for teenage sex offenders. In that job specifically, I was told to do some unethical things. One I just ignored. We had this guy, he was a Russian guy, and he was the CEO of this supposed nonprofit school that was getting $120,000 a year for each kid. So some school system, social services, was paying $120,000, maybe nine, I think it was $109,000 a year to have a kid go to this treatment center, and they were not getting $109,000 worth of treatment, right? And the guy came in, and we were usually on a waiting list because there was a lot of kids acting out sexually, and there weren't that many treatment centers. So usually there was 10 kids waiting to get in. But there was a time where the waiting list disappeared. And the guy wrote an email to all of us saying, which I had saved, because I thought maybe there'd be a whistleblower type of thing going on. And he said, don't allow your kids to leave until we get someone to fill their bed. So that meant if a kid was graduated from the program, we were supposed to basically kidnap them and withhold their release until they found somebody else to take their place. And the place was making fucking money. I mean, it was supposed to be nonprofit, just uncalled for. And, these kids had rights. They had constitutional rights. And I just said, fuck that. I'm not doing that. But there were other times where I was put in a position where I had to lie to the client, to the kid that was getting therapy, which, of course, there's supposed to be some sort of therapeutic relationship. But, and I mean, I knew that there wasn't a way to tell the kid the truth, right? So there's a number of times this happened. And, I started to really feel stressed out, like whatever, right? It's just, in general, I don't like withholding information. And when you lie and you have these, my older brother was a serial cheater. And he cheated on his wife, which I didn't know until he had split up with his wife. I kind of suspected, in a naive way. And I've told these stories before. And, and a lot of things made sense when he finally came out. You know, he left his wife for another woman on his son's birthday, which was a fucking total shitty move. Really negatively affected his relationship with his kids, especially his son. I mean, his son was like turning 10 years old, and he, well, 11 or something, I don't know. And he left for another woman. And, you know, his wife, he had been agoraphobic and had real issues, like a lot of demons. And he was cheating on her. He would go get laid by some, you know, random woman on his birthday. It was like a thing he would do every year. No matter what, he'd try to find some skank somewhere, like fucking, you know, even if he was cheating, like he was having an affair with like a college student. You know, he was in his 30s, and she tried to kill herself, right? And so, like, they were together for like 2 years, like, you know, long-term relationships on top of his wife. And, you know, I had friends who cheated, and they expected me to cover for them and lie, especially roommates, which stressed me the fuck out, right? I'm like, I can live like this, you know. And then their girlfriends would come and ask me because they knew I didn't like to lie. And, you know, like, you live it with a level of stress. I mean, it's just, you know, tell people the fucking truth. Like, you feel better. And there are times where you can't, you know, like, for example, my mom and I were talking maybe about 9/11. She was like 90, about to die. And I'm not going to give her a big truth or fucking take on the thing. She doesn't need to hear that. She's just, you know, she's on her way out. Her brain's not even working. Like, you know, there's times where you don't, you know, you just withhold information because people aren't ready to handle it. And, you know, whatever it might be. And there are times where it's just something where, I mean, you have no choice to really do it. I mean, it's just a safety issue or whatever. But, like, whenever you withhold information and you deal with that kind of shit, it's very fucking difficult to do, right? And so, you know, this was such an egregious act of a defining character moment, like something we've all known about Trump, how selfish and how piece of shit he is. I mean, almost everybody knows, except the dumb fuck Trumpers, because the way Trump treated his cabinet members and the press, and these are people he knows, and he might dislike the media, but he knows these people are successful at their job. They're, you know, I mean, their people are and, you know, he knows they have families and shit, you know, kids, whatever. I mean, this happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene when she called up and said to Trump, you know, your fucking base is threatening my family. I'm getting threatening my kids. And Trump's like, well, you seriously right. Like, that's the kind of cunt Trump is. Trump is a fucking, you know, this is the kind of cunt he is. Like, you can't get more cunty than Trump. Like, so fucking cowardly. And you can see this with him calling up Caroline Leavitt and saying, you know, hey, can you get back to work? You just had a fucking baby, right? Pressuring her to come back and serve him, you know, because he's the most important person in the world. I mean, this is how narcissists are, and he's a president. Like, he's a president narcissist of, you know, like mammoth proportions. And, you know, this is how he is. I mean, the absolute most cowardly leader ever expects everybody to die for him, like, you know, to throw themselves under the bus. And he's treated people that he's lifelong friends with over and over. He's used them and thrown them under the bus and expects them to fall on their sword for the most gross, fucking despicable, fucking just grimy fucking piece of shit. And this is a defining moment, this plane thing, you know, where his cabinet members, and so egregious, and, like, you know, all these memes about him hiding in a catering truck. I mean, the you know, just the pussification of Trump, and, like, just how much of a fucking coward he is, like, just all of it. Like, it's a bad imagery, right? And, you know, the worst part about it, and the most egregious part, like, every other part of it is explainable. If he, you know, has to take a different plane because he's under threat. But again, it makes America look weak. It makes him look weak. That, you know, Iran has made him cower, and now he's, you know, my next video I'm going to have him talking about how he owns the Strait of Hormuz now. He's not giving it back, which is an obvious lie because there would be a deal if he owned it. But, like, you know, all the ways that he presented, and then for him to come out later and say, no, I was on the more dangerous plane. Yeah, sure you were, you fucking lying sack of shit. Why would, I mean, just so bad, so egregious. But the fact that he treated those people in a way where he put their lives at risk, where, you know, the biggest part of the presidency, you know, the word safety is such a great sales word. You know, people who are in fearful situations, who are panicked, want to hear the word safe. That's why they put on the fucking mask. That's why they took the fucking vaccine. That's why they shut down their companies. You know, I just saw another restaurant my wife and I used to go to, an Indian restaurant that had a buffet, and you know they closed down. Like, you know, and I know it was because of COVID. Like they were, you know, thriving before COVID, and then after they're fucked. Like so many businesses went out of business, you know, all these things. And, you know, because they wanted to be safe. And people will do shit to be safe. And they want safety guaranteed. Like, you know, politicians and political movements create fear, and then they create the solution to fear, you know, the whatever they call that, problem, reaction, solution. And so they, you know, they want these kind of scenarios to make them look like they're strong leaders. Like they want to look like a strong leader. And you can't look any more weak than Trump just has made himself look. And he can blame it on the Secret Service and the military. You know, the military doesn't make his decision about safety. The military can say we have a credible threat, and then Secret Service says, all right, this is how we're going to manage it. But by managing it, by having these people fly a plane that is possibly a target for a surface-to-air missile, and, you know, again, all these people who are working for Trump and are, you know, I mean, people that Trump claims to be great, they're the greatest, you know, these are great people, they're working for me. I'm so, you know, like, we're the greatest, and I hired the greatest people. These loyalists that constantly lie for Trump and cover it up for his you know, his shittiness. And for him to sell them out, then what will he do to you? Like, Trump would blow up all of America to save himself. I mean, you know, he would, and, you know, again, if he was a random person, you know, like, I mean, I don't give a fuck about other people, Americans, right? You know, like, I don't know them anything, right? I mean, not that I would, you know, any of this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not like, you know, like Trump, but, you know, sure, if you're an average person and you would choose yourself over everyone else, yeah, that's, you know, that's understandable. But you can't do that when you're in a so-called service position. And they do it all the time. I mean, Trump is just more honest about his depravity. And, you know, and just pathetic and, like, not caring how things look, not understanding. And, you know, and who knows who's doddering around, whether they, you know, whatever. But this is his character. And this is probably just going to blow over, because in the world of Trump, this is like almost like a nothing burger compared to all the, but it's his most defining story, because it shows you, it shows all of his base people, he cares about himself more than anybody else. Like, his wife could have been on that other plane. Like, you know, his kids. Like, you know, he would fucking, I mean, you know, like, I mean, if it came to it, Trump would choose himself over anybody else. If he had to, you know, use his wife as a shield, use his kids, whoever he claims to love the most, Trump's favorite person in the world, whoever it is that isn't him, he would use that person as a fucking shield to, you know, hide behind that person, let that person catch bullets, rather than, you know, face it for himself. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. And there's no doubt about it. Like, there was no doubt about it before, but certainly now. And for him to come out and say, I was on the more dangerous plane, if it was, you know, he's saying the most dangerous plane was the one that I was on, which is silly, you know, that you know, because you wouldn't be doing this then. Or you would have flown an empty plane and say, hey, you know, we have a credible threat, and I'm just going to fly by myself, and, you know, like some act of, like, fucking bravery. But for him to fucking hide in a catering truck and all that shit and serve these people up, you know, leave them for dead, like, it's just fucking horrible. It's the fucking worst. And I probably want to lead with this, my next video, which I'm going to start as soon as I do the editing on this one, which isn't going to take me long. Like, it's so fucking bad. And I was talking about the Mark Rubio stuff with that interview. Like, it's just so retarded. Like, it's just, you know, there's a thing where, and again, I'm going to start the video with this. I'm going to redo this whole thing. Say it twice, because it's just so, you know, this is the end of the video. Not everyone makes it. But, like, it's so fucking bad because how incompetent and stupid these people are. Now, there's smart people out there, and we have computers, and we have, you know, things that can help us manage things. But, you know, people have to make decisions and deal with shit. You know, Pete Hegseth is a disaster. I mean, Kristi Noem was probably the stupidest of all the people. And, you know, I mean, no, probably it's Linda McMahon. Like, Linda McMahon is stupid and senile and fucking clueless. You know, a lot of these people are probably on psychological medications or, you know, self-using. I mean, they're not right. And, like, you know, Marco Rubio is considered one of the better ones. And, like, he's just, I mean, that interview shows, like, he's just, I mean, just like none of these people. I mean, they're just bumping into them. So they're bumping into each other. They're not even like conscious in any real way. Like these people, I wouldn't trust to make any decisions. I wouldn't hire any of them to do anything that would be important to my life, right? And they're leading this country. They're like fucking, it's really bad. And Trump, I mean, he's so degraded. And Joe Biden was, he had fucking Parkinson's. Like these, you can say, well, there's people behind the scenes, but the people in the behind the scenes can loot and pilfer and do bad shit. And Biden's going to be the one that's going to take the brunt of it. Or Trump. Like these people who are behind the scenes, these people behind the scenes are smart, but America's fucked. They know America's like it's done. Like America's like, they have to take away your lifestyle and, this America, we're number one, all that shit, that's gone. Like there's going to be a time where Americans realize, oh my God, we're like fucking a third world country. And like, it's just, we're a collapsed empire. Like it's the best days of America in terms of material life are over. And, but there's such a depravity, such a fucking stupidity, and just, like, it's amazing that we're still going. Like, I don't know what's keeping our system going. Like, just with all the stupidity and all the fuck, and, computers are hackable, and, like, there's all ways, I mean, our system can glitch out. We're so dependent on a not a very good food system that could fail at any point. Our economy can fail, and our energy system can fail. So any one of these things can cause, widespread famine and panic. I mean, and like this is your fucking leadership, and so it's really fucking bad. I'm gonna go and read through the comments and then see if they, anything more to add to this. All right, no substantial thing in the comments. I must have read them yesterday. Only a few comments I hadn't read. I'm gonna call it here, and I'll come back tomorrow, or start working today on my next video. This going up tomorrow morning on Friday, and then Saturday, and the rest. All right. That's it for now. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.